Yay! Yay! Mm. Well, I bid farewell to the port and the land, and I paddled away from brave England's white sands to search for thy long ago forgotten friends, and search for the place I hear all sailors end, as the souls of the dead fill the space in my mind. Hold on. In a boat listed over, and tried to capsize on this far from dirty, this far from the sea. I remember now, all in daylight and coming, never will be, never will be. Whee! Your camera keeps moving? Yeah, I know. That's because I keep adjusting it. That would be why. Slowly moving to your right. Yeah. I mean, my camera is set up on a gimbal, and it's like a cheap, kind of like $65 Chinese gimbal. So, don't expect don't expect the cinematography to be perfect on these streams. I'm doing my best, but that doesn't mean it's great. That doesn't mean the production quality is super high. Feel better? Not really. Smoking a bowl and a snuggie as well. Period, dude. Well, this isn't a snuggie. This is just a blanket. I've got like two different blankets on, as well as long sleeve and long pants. Well, that's good, Alistair. Because you would be very stupid to hold me to high standards, because I will not meet them. By the way, make sure you guys hit that like button as you're rolling in. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance to send stream out to even more people, which increases the quality of your viewing pleasure by increasing the number of people who can engage in the chat. Yeah. You stay blowing that good shit. It's not good shit today. Take heart in knowing that I got some substandard weed on my last front. You can take heart in that. Have I wasted all the money that I've paid on volcano insurance? Well, unless you live within a couple of miles of a volcano, probably yeah. I would say probably yes. I mean, honestly, realize that all insurance is a scam. Like, that's probably a troll question. I get that, but like, realize that all insurance is a scam, pretty much. Like the only time insurance isn't a scam is when you actually use it, and the only time you can use insurance, at least a lot of different insurances here in America, is if you pay something beforehand. So in a lot of cases, people will actually end up spending more to get their insurance to cover something than they would have if they would have just taking it to a cheap body shop or something like that when you're talking about car insurance or whatever. So I don't know. Insurance is kind of a scam. It's probably something that should be ran by some kind of government institution that is fully publicly accountable, whose leaders can be impeached and removed from office anytime we need them to be, anytime they're not holding up their end of the bargain. But unfortunately, here in America, we look at everything as an issue to be solved by the profit motive. So that'll probably never happen. Hello, Arya. Hello, Arya. Hello, hello. I don't give a shit what you have to say about my teeth, Taylor. If you think having yellow teeth means you're disqualified from talking about politics, then I consider you an idiot whose opinion is unworthy of being taken like any level of seriously. Sorry. I don't know where this idea that the color of your teeth correlates in some way to your intelligence, but it doesn't. There are some of the stupidest people on the planet right now have pearly white chiclets in their mouth, and some of the smartest people I've ever met were missing teeth. Literally, one of the smartest people I ever met was missing one of their front teeth. So, good teeth and high IQ don't correlate. You know where the correlation between teeth is? Teeth and money. You got money, you're going to have pearly white chiclets. Ain't got money, you're going to have yellow teeth. That's a real divide. That's a real class divide in this country. You got a little bit of yellowing to your teeth. You got a little bit of damage to your teeth. Okay, you're probably a middle class or a lower class person. You got them pearly fucking white implants or whatever. You got them veneers or whatever. Oh man, you must be making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Why else would you afford something like that? No regular American can afford that kind of dentistry. So anytime you see somebody that's like over the age, and honestly, I'm not even bullshitting you guys. Anytime you see somebody over the age of 35 with really good teeth, unless they're dentures, that's a rich person. Well, maybe not a billionaire rich person, but that's a person who's way wealthier than you probably will ever be. Because that kind of dentistry is expensive. The kind of dentistry that leaves you with a mouthful of pearly white chiclets, yeah, that shit's expensive. We're talking veneers or implants or something like that. Even dentures don't end up looking that good. I did not get the chance to get to check that out. Ignore, by the way, you guys should go check out Ignore Husky's channel. He's here in the chat. Go check out his channel. He covers a lot of the ICE protests and stuff like that that are going on in Portland right now. I am glad to know, Ignore, that you're still out there. I'm glad to see you hitting the bricks. And I would be down to do another reporting stream anytime you want to do it, dude. Just, I know I'm horrible about times and everything. Now that I'm kind of a single mom, I only have like a limited amount of time every day that I can put towards YouTube shit. So anytime after 10 p.m. CST, Monday through Friday, and most of the day, Saturday and Sunday, I should be fine. So anytime you want to do a stream like that, just hit me up. I'd love to. I've had something else go. Oh man, what a fucking waste of time that comment was. Weed money and no toothpaste money. Taylor, you're a literal fucking retard. Taylor, if you're the kind of person, dude, I'm sorry, but you know, there were CIA torture techniques invented to get people to stop saying the kind of stupid shit that you're saying right now. I just want to waterboard you right now. You realize I brush my teeth every fucking day, but that doesn't matter because tooth staining takes, number one, it doesn't take long to stain teeth. If you drink a sip of coffee, that stains your teeth up just a little bit. And unless you're planning on brushing your teeth after every single cup of coffee you have, you're not going to prevent tooth staining. Unless you brush your teeth after every single cigarette you smoke, you're not going to prevent tooth staining. And honestly, even if you did do that, you'd probably just end up wearing out and destroying the enamel on your teeth before you would. And So here's what would actually happen. You would weaken the enamel in your teeth, which would actually make it more susceptible to staining. So your attempts to make them pearly white and perfect looking like Boogie 2988s is going to turn out with you having just as yellow as you would have ever had. In fact, they might be worse because now you've scraped off a bunch of your enamel by brushing 17 times a day. You should brush once in the morning and once at night and floss at some point in one of those times. That's how you should brush your teeth. And it really sucks that somebody with as shitty, fucked up teeth as me has to tell you that. But if you actually look at my teeth, I'm not missing a single one. I don't have any cavities. The exclusive thing wrong with my teeth are, well, number one, my two front teeth here are bigger than they need to be. So I would be buck toothed if it weren't for the fact that one kind of subsists behind the other, like one, it goes diagonal. That's one thing, and that's just a birth defect. As far as I know, I can't think of anything I did or encountered throughout my life that would have caused that particular problem. And staining, which once again happens to pretty much every American that either smokes, drinks coffee, or drinks tea, or drinks soda. That's another big yellowing one. And I get the distinct impression that people like Taylor that are super obsessed with the color of my teeth are probably sitting around with a mouth full of fucking cavities and teeth all falling out around them. Dude, you are not that obsessed with another motherfucker's teeth unless you are sitting around in constant mouth pain. I ain't got no cavities. I ain't got no cavities. I ain't got no missing teeth. I got all 35 of them bitches or whatever. How many you supposed to have? Ain't no shame in my game. Yeah, tooth is incredibly normal. Well, I mean, it's become increasingly common as we've included um, more and more food dyes in our food, and like ultra processed food probably doesn't help when it comes to enamel strength. I can't imagine that the various caustic things that make their way into heavily processed food are great for tooth enamel. So that wouldn't surprise me. But also, I mean, like, it just kind of generally makes sense. You look at it, like, you think about it, like pretty much every member of Rodentia has yellow teeth. Dogs can have white teeth or yellowed teeth. Um, I don't know if I've actually ever seen the inside of a monkey's mouth, because that would be our closest relative. But I don't know if I've ever seen the inside of one of their mouths. Anyway, make sure you guys hit that like button as you're rolling in. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance to stream out to even more people, which increase the quality of your viewing pleasure by increasing the number of people engaged in the chat. For how much of Bill's cock Trump takes, his teeth are pretty white. Well, that's because he's a rich dude he's able to get all those fancy things I was talking about, right? He's able to get implants or veneers or whatever he wants to get done to his teeth anytime he wants it done. Of course, he's got great teeth. He's rich. Every rich person does. You have to actively choose to have bad teeth if you're rich. Yeah, they fake. 100%. It's okay to talk about the other side? No, not you. Now you can talk about me all you want, bitch. The difference is I don't give a shit. See, the difference between us, right, is that I'm going to talk shit on you, and you're going to talk shit on me, but only one of us is going to get offended. Oh, shit. Ain't that beautiful? Isn't that great? I love right-wing snowflakes. Hashtag MAGA snowflakes. Hashtag MAGA in shambles. Hashtag MTG leaves MAGA. Let me see it in the chat. Hashtag MAGA in shambles. MAGA in shambles. Look at them. Look at them in the chat, dude. Look at them. They're so pissed off. They're so mad. They're so butt mad. They're so butt mad. Phoebe's on top. MAGA in shambles. Butt mad. 6767. By the way, if you want to make sure that your comment or question gets read or answered, because as you can tell, the chat is going by super quick, the only way to assure that is by sending a super chat. I know you really don't want to, but trust me, if you want an argument read by me, that's pretty much the only way to guarantee it, because I do read every single one as long as it doesn't violate TOS. And it's pretty easy not to violate YouTube's TOS. Just don't call for the assassination of a politician, or yeah, don't use any slurs. That tends to be looked down upon as well. But as long as you're not doing that, I should be able to read it. Take the rage bait like how Trump takes Bill in his mouth? Yeah, I mean, they could. They definitely could. I mean, they take my rage bait every fucking single day. Every day I choose, every time I get a wild hair up my ass and decide to hit that little plus button and hit the live stream button, every single time a whole giant, massive flock of MAGA coalesces around me like a nice warm blanket. They can't pull their eyes away. Both parties are full of clowns. 100%. I hope you don't mistake me for a representative of the Democratic Party. I've got no more respect for the Democrats than I do for the Republicans. I think they're lefties. I think you're probably able to get a little bit more progressivism done under a Democrat than you are under the Republicans. But with enough societal pressure, anything is possible. Once again, if you are a conservative person and you're watching the stream and you're just dying to get your topics shouted out in the chat, you're just dying to have your question answered, consider sending a super chat, because I do read every single one as long as it doesn't violate TOS. And, the more you send, the more that encourages me to take the argument seriously and to engage in it. You send $2, I might give you like a 2-minute long answer. You send 5, we might get a whole long 10-minute discussion out of that. You send 20, that might be the rest of the stream. No, it's not going to be the rest of the stream, but it is a great way to make sure your comment or question gets read. Send me to the Sarlacc pit? Okay, I'll spare you. And strain are you blazing? I have no idea. Trump brought up the Epstein situation since 2015. I know. Well, here's the thing. Trump has a wildly changing narrative on the Epstein shit. Back in 2015 during Pizzagate and everything. Oh yeah, dude, Trump is all about outing the pedophile cult that supposedly leads everything, right? Way back when, Trump's all about it. Then he gets into office and he's mum on it for 4 years. And then Jeffrey Epstein kills himself in late 2019. Suddenly, everybody's looking around wondering, wait, what happened? Wait, what? Hold on, who is this guy? And suddenly it comes out that he's got massive ties to Trump. Not just a few, but massive, long, years long association with Trump, decades long association with Trump, decades long association with Bill Clinton, decades long association with fucking Prince Andrew, decades long association with Larry Summers, decades long association with literally hundreds of people from across the political and people, possibly thousands, are being implicated right now in a massive conspiracy to secure children for sexual abuse. This is like, there's no way it can come out looking good for Trump. The only thing I can think is happening right now, the only reason why he's reversed course on it yet again, because remember, for the last 8 months, we've been told that this is all a Democratic hoax, right? So the only reason I think he has changed course now is because I think he got a little message from his FBI, a little message from Kash Patel saying, hey, boss, we got the evidence cleared up. Your name's not on any of these documents now. We made sure to delete, expunge, or otherwise censor any documents that might have had your name on them. Dems and Republicans are both on that list. I know. That's one of the reasons why it needs to come out so bad, my friend. We need to know. We need to know who the snakes are. We need to know. We need to know who the snakes are, whether they're in the fucking Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I don't know about you, but I don't much care what the letter next to someone's name is if they're still a fucking snake. Thank you for the $5, Miss Misunderstood. Thank you so much. What happened to freedom of speech? Why are comments being deleted by moderators? Is it a one-sided thing where we can only say things you would agree? No. Let's just go over some of the comments that have been deleted by moderators. Let's just go over it and see if these represent an actually legitimate use of freedom of speech, or if this is just baseline shit talking that would be deleted from any chat on the internet. We're talking about wizards, stay on topic people, literally gibberish, I'm not listening to a dude that just did crack in a pipe. Once again, literally gibberish. That's not an opinion. That's not a political take. That's not. I can't do anything with that. Didn't know bowl cuts was still a thing. Some unoriginal prick that thinks they're the funniest fucking person that's ever lived. Dems and Republicans are both on that list. Now, I don't know why Jacob was hidden. I'm not going to lie. I don't really know why Jacob was hidden. But, outside of that, I really don't see anybody that was hidden that didn't need to be. So, we only allow interesting, legible, or unique responses. Yeah, exactly. That's it. There's no ideological barrier. None. There's no ideological barrier here. But you are required to not be a fucking moron. And I know that's too hard for a lot of MAGA, but that's the requirement. Don't be a moron. That's it. That's all I'm asking. Don't be a fucking complete moron. Produce comments that are interesting for me to read. That's all I ask. Why are you so mean? I really don't think I am mean. I'm mean to people who are mean to me. I don't remember you, silly, but I'm glad to see you back. I'm sure I'll remember you if you're in a few more streams. By the way, make sure you guys hit that like button. It really does help. And once again, if you want to have a topic of your choosing considered for discussion, consider sending a super chat, just like that gentleman a few minutes ago did, where he asked a question, is there some kind of freedom of speech rule in here? And I was like, no. Say whatever you want. Just make it legible, original, and interesting. That's it. That's all you got to do. Make it worth my time. Your mustache is more interesting than political views? No, you're just too stupid to understand politics. And so you look at like aesthetics and like, I don't know, stupid shit like that. You're one of these brain dead people who are more focused on the look of a person than you are. There we go. People who's more focused on the look of a person than you are the quality of their positions. Couldn't even finish insulting? You aren't worth it. You ain't unto death by my hand. Are you Mexican? Do I look Mexican? Quick question: do you think it's to lump all people together or to judge them individually? Do I think it's what? Huh? You ever try heroin before? No. What about Phoebe looks Spanish? Not a goddamn thing. I mean, to me, I look about as white as you possibly could, but whatever. If somebody thinks I look Hispanic, okay, all right. If you say so. I don't think so, but I'm not insulted by the notion. I just don't think it's accurate. Why is your question being ignored? Probably because it's boring. If you want to make sure it's not ignored, consider sending a super chat. Terrence with the $2. What is needed for a human to live a life well? Adequate shelter, clean air, clean water, a reasonable supply of food, and something to occupy their time. Whether that's work or creative interest, doesn't really matter. But they need something to occupy their time and occupy their minds as well. Prefer pronouns, please. She, her, hers. The sigil in the back. This. Are you talking about this one? Or are you talking about that one? Advice on quitting smoking. Yeah, because I'm the fucking perfect one to go for that, right? Yeah, I'm thinking about quitting smoking. Oh, I know who to ask about it. A smoker. If you're gonna be shitters, at least make good arguments or send a super chat. Dude, I'll read any stupid old argument if it's sent with money. Mr. Misunderstood with the $5. Thank you so much. You do look white. Am I supposed to assume a story or a dictation by it? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Or should I let you be the one to let you choose how I see you by your choices? Mr. Misunderstood, you're going to have to clarify what you're asking because I'm not sure that I'm able to translate that into something that I can answer. Am I supposed to assume a story or a dictation by it? Merely by the fact that I'm white? No. Should I let you be the one to let you choose how I see you by your choices? I guess? I think? I don't know. I don't know that I'm answering this one correctly. I do appreciate the $5, but you're probably gonna have to clarify a little bit. You haven't seen Pale as Fuck till you see my no son seeing half Korean, half pale goth from white dad and Korean goth mother. Nice. I like that. I mean, hey, dude, that is a great way to be. Dude. You guys look great on punk album covers and shit like that, you know? So nothing but love. Cheese that can legit burn your dopamine receptors out. Yeah, I'm not a cheese addict. I like cheese on pizza and shit like that, but I'm not one of these people that I've never been one of these people that's just like obsessed with cheese. In fact, I think people who eat cheese by itself are kind of weird. Not used to people questioning Phoebe's race. It's odd. I'm not used to it either. Trust me. Trust me. Like I said, I'm not insulted. I don't mind if somebody thinks I'm Mexican, but I'm not. I'm not. Like in fact, what racial minorities I do have as part of my makeup are a little bit Iranian. It did say North Indian slash Pakistani, but it recently changed to Iranian. A little bit like Iranian slash kind of like Caucasus region, and then a little bit Angolan and Congolese. I mean, like, I don't find you guys so weird that I'm not going to talk to you. I'm just saying, if you're just literally sitting around eating handfuls of cheese, that is a little strange, okay? It's a little weird. It's a little bit uncouth, okay? Make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. There are 378 people watching right now. If half of you guys hit that like button, it would be like 145 likes or something like that instantly. I don't even know. But please, just half of you, hit it right now. I want to see it. I bet we can do it. Double tap your screen or hit the like button. Either way. Autumn! You can be a Republican and not be MAGA and a bad person? Yeah, I mean, like right now, there are like 3 divisions being set up in the Republican Party. There's like the Nick Fuentes kind of Groyper types that are like actively trying to turn the Republican Party into a Nazi party, and they're actively opposing Trump because they don't think he's being enough of a fascist, and because sorry, excuse me. He's not making the right kind of moves on the international stage that they think that he should be, and he's not making the right moves that they think he should be domestically. And so there is this big split happening in the Republican Party between the Groyper faction and the more mainstream faction. But the problem is, even within the mainstream faction, there is another split up between people who are like, okay, yeah, I'm actually done with Trump, but not from the Groyper direction. So right now, I would say that there are like 3 tendencies among American conservatives. There's like the Groyper tendency, the mainstream Republican pro-Trump tendency, and then the Republican kind of fringe, like the Brexit minority. Like the people who are slowly figuring out maybe I'm not a Republican, or who are slowly figuring out maybe we need a party that isn't the Republicans to represent the interests opposite those of the Democratic Party or whatever. Maybe we need some other kind of opposition party. That three-way split is happening, though, and I think it is going to be the end of the MAGA movement. And thank God, dude, because there should be no political movement in this country exclusively centered around one person. This is my first time I kind of come upon you, especially on a live. I just felt bummed when someone assumed you looked Mexican for some reason and you neglected it with what seemed like hatred or attitude. No, I mean, I was just confused. I think you misunderstood when see, this is why you're Mr. Misunderstood. See? I think you mistook my confusion for anger or hatred. No, I love Mexican people. I've got no hatred in my heart for Mexican people whatsoever. I oppose Trump's mass deportation raids and shit like that. I oppose ICE coming into cities like Charlotte and just mass kidnapping people and sending them off to who the fucking hell knows where. I am way, way, way in support of Hispanic people immigrating here and having lives here and working here. So it wasn't said with any hatred at all. It was literally just like fucking, literally like brain shutting down confusion. It was like, well, I'm not. So like, I think you just misinterpreted me and my brain resetting as like some kind of hateful attitude because like I said, I've got nothing but love in my heart for Mexicans. Nothing but love in my heart for people from outside this country in general. In my opinion, you merely being from somewhere that isn't America doesn't make you a bad person. Now, if you come from if you're an American or if you come from somewhere else and you do some bad shit in America, then yeah, at that point, whatever legal consequences should happen should happen. I don't, I don't know. I feel like that's just like the normal fucking non-Nazi take to have on immigration. It's like, yeah, I'm pro-immigration. Of course I am. And, if somebody commits a crime after having immigrated, I think that they should be treated like any other person who committed a crime. Whatever the standard punishment is for that, mete it out to them and they go on about their lives. How else are they, how the hell else are they supposed to figure out how America works without going through our justice system a time or two? Every innocent citizen has to at some point. Everybody gets gaffled up for some stupid bullshit at some point in this country. Not only what would sustain a life, but how might you envision a human life to be lived well? I'm interested in your perspective on eudaimonia. Eudaimonia. I don't know what that is, but I'll try to answer your question as best I can. Thank you for the $5. If anybody else would like to have their question or comment read and considered, consider sending a super chat like these lovely people have done so far. We are up to $27. Let's see if we can get up to 50 tonight. With all that being said, let me hit my vape and I will answer that question. So, yeah, not just what you need to sustain a human life, but what do you require to, or I'm sorry, what do you envision to, what do you think would be required for a life you envision as lived well? So, I think that that is covered by the last little addendum I added to Maslow's hierarchy, right? Or not Maslow's hierarchy, but the basic, the I forget what it's called. I forget what phrase unites them all together, but those different things you need, right? Those different things you utterly need as a human being to survive. Shelter, food, water, what is it? Shelter, food, water, air. 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 Air. Companionship, maybe? Self-fulfillment? I forget what the fucking other thing was. Anyway, but the reason I added that addendum there at the end where I was talking about um, how human beings need something to occupy their mind, something to keep them busy, whether that's work or a creative pursuit or and work can take a whole lot of different forms, by the way. Work can mean working for a company or something like that in our like we do in our present system, or it could mean working for yourself at some kind of business you start. It could mean working with your community in some kind of communal capacity for the collective betterment of you all, right? Work can take a whole lot of forms. It's not necessarily work as we understand it in today's capitalist environment. But yeah, they need work or some kind of creative output, which may itself be work. But they need one of those two things. They need something to occupy their brain. They need something to feel like they're contributing, something to challenge their um, inner processes, and some way to express themselves. So if we're going to add anything, it's ultimately occupation in whatever form that. Uh, Occupation in whatever form that takes, and companionship. If well, maybe not companionship though. Socialization for sure. Socialization. Companionship, I think, is a little bit some people need companionship, other people don't, so, but I would definitely say socialization is necessary for a human being to live their life well. I would say that some kind of creative output or some kind of occupation, like I said, is required. And I would say that some kind of form of expression, whether that be through that creativity that I just mentioned or it be just their normal everyday sense of expression, people need to be able to feel like they can be themselves, whatever that happens to mean. So that is what I think would quantify a life lived well, is access to those things, access to something to keep your mind busy, access to the ability to express yourself in whatever way that means without hurting other people. Socialization, abundant socialization. Those are the things I would answer. I hope that answer counts, Terrence. I hope you appreciated that. Yeah, what's up, everybody? Let me see. I've got another one. Thank you for the $10, Mr. Misunderstood. Let me get that heart on there. Thank you. Let me see here. God damn it. No, I didn't mean to delete it. God fucking damn it. I hate this fucking phone, dude. Ugh. I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to delete your super chat. I'm sorry. Fucking phone. I fucking hate this piece of shit. God damn it. I'm so sorry. Fuck. God fucking damn it. Oh my fucking god. Ugh. I want to fucking kill myself, dude. Not literally, but dude, I hate it when that shit happens. I fucking hate it. Why? Why can they not just build a fucking smartphone that doesn't fucking make just accidental clicks? Dude, is it impossible to make a fucking smartphone whose screen is not so oversensitive that it just randomly clicks on shit you didn't even fucking intend to click on? Is that impossible? Ugh. Anyway, I'm sorry, friend. I didn't mean to delete your super chat. Fucking stupid ass phone. Literally got through like a word of it and then fucking, oh man, I just want to fucking I gotta get a new phone. I gotta get a new phone. Some fucking how, by hook or by crook, I fucking gotta get a new phone. Dude, justified crash out. I am sick to death of accidentally clicking on shit because this phone has the fucking screen sensitivity of a fucking clitoris. Man, that's fucking so sad. I can't believe that fucking super chat went away. The super chatter was saying something along the lines of, I'm Hispanic, but while I don't agree with some of Trump's views, I'd rather have a strong boss that leads than one is scared. I mean, I get that. I get that mindset for sure. And yeah, I mean, like, if we're just taking it in a vacuum, if that's the only things you have to consider, then yeah, I mean, maybe in that sense. Well, here's the thing, dude. Trump is a horrible fucking fascist nightmare, but do I know that Biden would have been any better? No, because Biden was fucking demented. He was actively sundowning on the fucking world stage. So, there's no way he would have ended up somehow being like actually better. At best, we might have gotten some kind of, I don't know, some kind of like government by committee, some kind of executive by committee, wherein people in Biden's cabinet and close to Biden would have been influencing his decisions and shit like that, but where he wouldn't have had actually any real control over it. And who knows what kind of positions those people would have had, because the people who help out Democratic candidates range in their politics from all the way to like what's called a blue dog Democrat, which is basically on the center right, to someone like Bernie Sanders, who's literally a Democratic socialist. Democratic staffers run the gamut. DNC fucking people run the gamut. So we either could have gotten basically another Trump, or we could have gotten some kind of crazy fucking, crazy in a good way, kind of left wing stuff. But we'll never know now. Obviously, Biden dropped out and passed the torch to Kamala before he even got the chance to run for election. And I think he would have lost just as hard as Kamala did had he gotten the chance. So I understand why people see strength in Trump that they didn't see in Biden. I just wish they understood that, like, Biden and Trump, or I'm sorry, Kamala and Trump were not our only two fucking choices in 2024. If we had had the foresight in 2023 or something like that to start rabble rousing for a fucking independent movement or a third party movement, we could have fucking put up a challenge to the DNC, RNC duopoly. We could have put up a challenge to the Uniparty and maybe gotten somebody in there with, some actual morals and shit. See, every single one of you guys that laughs at that idea, you're just defeatist. You're just defeatists. I'm sorry. It's just a defeatist position. It's a defeatist position. It's literally, in my opinion, it's politically throwing your hands up in the air and saying, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. This is as good as it gets. Fucking country's going to shit. I guess I'm just going to have a mimosa. In my opinion, that's what that is really the vibe I get from people who are defeatist about the fucking elections when it comes to the idea of a third party or an independent candidate. Because what is the rhetoric you hear from people like me and people on the right that are critical of the Republicans every fucking 4 years? What is the fucking rhetoric? Oh man, we can't trust them. I'm going to do it from my side. We can't trust the fucking Democrats, dude. Look at the shit that they're doing when they've actually got power. Look at this shit that Biden is allowing to be done to Gaza. Look at this shit that he's doing. Look at all these gifts to the fucking corporations. Look at how he's destroying this railroad strike. Look at all this. Look at all this horrible, horrible shit. Right? Look at all this awful shit. And then, when election time comes around, soon as election season gets here, you start hearing people like me saying things like, well, I really don't like the Democrats. Obviously, I'm a critic of them. Yada, yada, yada. But we got to vote the right way because otherwise we're just not going to get anything. And it's like, okay, all right. And then you look at the RNC side, and the people who are critics of the RNC have the exact same line of rhetoric, but from the opposite direction. And literally the exact same line of rhetoric from the opposite direction. But when it comes time for the elections, well, I guess we gotta go with Trump. It's not like we've got any better options. I mean, Trump sucks, but it's like the best we can do. And it's like every single time somebody comes and says, hey, why don't we do a third party or an independent movement? Every single one of those people you just heard saying things like that, every single one of those people you just heard bitching and moaning for the last 4 years about how the Uniparty is corrupt, about how they control everything, about how Americans have fundamentally no political voice. What is the argument you hear from those people that have been making that argument? Do you think they agree with you about your third party push? Do you think they agree with you about your strong independent movement? Nope. Nope. Suddenly, the same people have been criticizing both parties and talking about how they're a uniparty and how they work together towards the destruction of the human race. Suddenly, all of that logic goes out the window, and we have to support one of them because third parties are non-viable. Why? Because nobody ever votes for them. But why? Because no third parties are non-viable. Why? Because nobody ever votes for them. Why? Because third parties are non-viable. Why? Because nobody ever votes for them. Why? Because third parties are non-viable. Why? Because nobody ever votes for them. When are we going to get sick and fucking tired of this stupid line of backwards, empty-headed rhetoric? When are we going to get past this negative feedback loop as a country? Independent movements are non-viable. Why? Because nobody votes for them. Why? Because independent movements are non-viable. Why? Because nobody votes for them. Why? Because independent movements are non-viable. Why? Because nobody votes for them. It's like, fuck, god damn it, people. By the way, make sure you guys hit that like button. I'm seeing the likes starting to slow down. I'm also starting to see the super chats slow down. Let me check that fan funding. Requirements for becoming president are lacking. Oh, 100%, Mr. Misunderstood. 100%. Dude, honestly, if we had age limits, dude, the last 2 or 3 presidents wouldn't have gotten in. Dude, if we had cognition limits, Biden wouldn't have gotten in. Hell, Trump might have gotten in this fucking last time. I seriously doubt that a nonpartisan completely removed, completely fucking objective third party that was medically qualified, I doubt very seriously that a group or individual like that, or would. I doubt very seriously that they would clear Trump as being completely cogent, completely cognitive. He's got all his shit still. I doubt that would happen. Maybe it would, but at least if we had standards, then we would know for sure. At least if we had standards, then we would know that whenever Trump has one of these weird moments where it seems like he's sundowning, or like he just doesn't know where he's at, or like what's going on, or what he's doing, that's just him having disdain for the American people. At least then we would know that that's just him having disdain for the American process. Okay? Because right now it kind of just looks like Trump is fucking losing his mind, just like Biden was. So when it comes to Paul's opinion on not voting anymore, I assume Paul would be okay with third party. Are you opposed to him being out of the process and complaining the country is going to shit? Are you talking about a new position of his, Matt? Or are you talking about Paul's classic stance on electoralism? Because Paul's basically had more or less the same stance with a few minor changes in rhetoric through the years on voting for a long time. I know after the I can't remember which Vosh conversation it was. I'm thinking that it was after 2020. I'm thinking after 2020 or 2021 is when Paul started saying that he's gonna vote. He's gonna vote down ballot. Gonna vote for local politicians that seem like they're the real deal and stuff like that, but would not be giving the DNC his vote in any kind of like national level election. So gubernatorial or fucking you know like national level politics, no votes for the DNC. That is the last fucking as of the last conversation I had with Paul about electoralism. That was his position. If it's changed since then, know that Paul's classic stance on being done with this voting two-party system. Oh, I 100% agree with him. Maybe there's some criticisms I have of his position somewhere. Like I think that a good Democratic governor does make a difference. Personally, I think that a good DNC person in the Senate versus just a complete shill makes a difference. So I do think that it's worth it to stay to stay abreast and abridged of what's going on in terms of who your candidates are going to be and what their political positions are and everything, because maybe you will end up with a Mamdani or a Sanders or something like that, right? Maybe you'll end up with a Tim Walz, who, despite all the criticism he gets, actually has done a lot for Minnesota, at the very least. Maybe you end up with a Gretchen Whitmer or something, And if you're going to end up with somebody who seems like they're going to be the real deal, then I think that, voting for them actually does make sense. I just don't know that voting for them. I think that, I think where me and Paul agree most is that your vote when it comes to the presidency is decisive. It does matter a lot more than people give it credit for. Because people like Bosch will they have this doublethink position on it where it's like, oh, well, voting is the most important thing you can do. Voting for the president or whatever is the most important thing you can do. But it's also, oh, this unimportant, tiny little part of your political advocacy. Which one is it? Is it the most important thing you can do, or is it a small part of your political advocacy? I think the Paul position is actually a lot more nuanced and a lot stronger, which is your position, like your vote matters when it comes to president. And that means if you vote for a bad candidate on the DNC side, that tells the DNC, hey, we've still got electoral viability with these bad candidates. See, if Trump was going to lose anyway, here's the thing. If Trump was going to win anyway, wouldn't all the people who voted Kamala Harris, wouldn't they have all been better off voting for third-party candidates? Wouldn't they have all been better off just not voting, period? Imagine if it wasn't just 35% of eligible voters that didn't participate last year. Imagine if it was 50. Imagine if it was half of the electorate just didn't show up last year. Everybody acts like the fucking Democrats wouldn't care about that shit. I think they would. They would have to, because the American people would care about that shit. Was the Bill/Trump thing confirmed? Bold of you to assume that's ever going to be confirmed. What makes you think they're ever going to confirm that? Well, I'm not a Dem or a Republican, and also I would vote for a third party. I, like a lot of people, don't know how viable a third party is. While I would really want that to be possible, how do you get enough people to make a difference? So, number one, you start looking into the states where third parties already have a lot of viability. there are a bunch of states in this union where third parties have a shit ton of viability. So you would want to look into those states and concentrate your initial efforts there. The second step would be engaging in those initial efforts, which would literally just be having conversations like this one, but more importantly, picking a fucking uh, picking a movement, picking the you know picking a movement, familiarizing yourself with some of the important figures in that movement and stuff like that, and some of its history and the mindsets and viewpoints that have informed it, etc., etc. I do see your super chat. I will get to that in just 1 second. But yeah, that second step would be basically convincing people, and in order to do that, you would have to decide some charismatic person or a group of interested people that wanted to see this done would have to decide, okay, this guy looks like the best candidate, this girl looks like the best candidate, whoever it is, this person looks like they're going to be the best fit for the choice, or the best fit for the job, I should say. They're going to be the best fit for the job, so we are going to support them massively. And that group of people needs to concentrate its efforts in every one of those states I just was talking about. Every one of those states that's already friendly to third parties, every one of those states that's already friendly to independent movements and stuff like that. Focus your efforts there. Um, you know, and honestly, like as far as how do you convince them, like literally, how do you convince them? I think you just like honestly, I think people are primed for it, Matt. I think people are primed for it. The Democrats, when I say the Democrats and Republicans in this sentence, I mean the voters. Okay, the Democrats know that the Democratic Party is fucking done, and the Republicans know that the Republican Party is fucking done. And once again, I'm talking about the voters, not the fucking people in power. Not talking about the party officials. I'm talking about the electorate. The electorate has no faith in the Uniparty. No faith. So I think you just hammer that down. You hammer that down. You start actually asking people, can you name one thing that's good about your life that you can trace directly to a Democratic or Republican policy? I'm not on your level. This fucking thing, I wish its battery lasted longer. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah, you didn't get any of that whole thing, did you? It's just one of those days, isn't it? It's okay. It's all right. It's fine. Being bullied / harassed for using your natural voice versus faking your voice to fit in better thoughts. This is actually a really, really, really good question for me. So thanks, Jordan. This is a really good question for me because I am the kind of person who gets bullied and harassed for using my natural voice and who has chosen not to voice train because personally I don't get that much dysphoria from my own voice. I don't think it's that masculine. I don't think my countenance is that masculine, and I don't think my voice is that masculine. I've also heard plenty of women with deeper voices than even mine. So I don't feel the great compulsion to change my voice or alter it in any way to make anyone else feel better or to make them more comfortable with that. Now, I think a lot of women, like for most trans women, I don't think that they're trying to do that. I think most trans women are probably acting in whatever way makes them most comfortable. I don't think that um, trans people necessarily base their transition on the whims and desires of other people. I'm sure those things subconsciously play a role, but nobody's going around trying to specifically satisfy that, I would hope. That being said, I think that people should always err on the side of themselves, whatever their authentic selves are. So if you're, for example, a trans person and you feel like your authentic self would have a higher voice, then go ahead, voice train. Or if you're a trans man and you think your authentic voice would be deeper, then go ahead, voice train. But if you're a trans woman like me that is like, basically okay with your voice, I don't think there should be any compulsion on society for you to change that. And I tend to think that the people who harass / bully people like that are just themselves douchebags. And, we've always roundly rejected douchebags in this country. We hate douchebags. I dated a girl who had a man's voice. Who gives a fuck about gender norms or standards? Who gives a fuck about gender in general? This stuff shouldn't be confusing or discomforting or a topic at all. I 100% agree. I literally don't understand why it's like chief in everybody's mind. I mean, obviously, I do understand that it is that, which is why I've got the pride flag behind me, which I probably would have a pride flag behind me anyway, but hopefully it'll be hopefully it won't be like as big in my future backgrounds because eventually I want to have a shooting space where it's just one part of a much bigger background. But you know, I'm not afraid of it. I don't run from it, but I do wonder sometimes why people are so singularly obsessed with gender issues and gender politics. When I mean, I can think of about a million other things that are way more important. I can think of about a million other things that are pressing down on us as a people that would be, we would be way better off focusing our attention on those. Hi, you're super adorable. I just wanted to pop in and say gendered girly to gendered girly. Aw, thanks. Cool. Sorry, bud. I didn't hear a word of response to my message, but I'm here for your side. I feel like you think in a very manner. I think you misspelled something there. But no, I will respond to that super chat you sent because apparently all my response got fucking killed by my lapel mic. So, you said, I'm not on your level. I can tell you follow politics more than me. Just to respond to that part, I do follow politics a lot. I watch a lot of political shows. I read a lot of news, and I would say I spend between 2 to 3 hours a day reading Wikipedia and the various articles that it will send me to in furtherance of understanding even more about the like particulars going on at any given time. But that being said, don't feel any pressure to be that because honestly, even at the level of informed that I am, I still make mistakes. I still fuck up and I still say stupid shit that don't make no sense in context. And ultimately, we are all all of us subject to those kind of limitations. We are all subject to our own cognitive biases. But I do appreciate the compliment. I appreciate that, you know, I appreciate that you recognize that I'm at least paying attention to this shit. You know a lot more than I do, and I respect it. Regardless of side, I can tell you depict right wing from wrong or right from wrong on a simple level. Yeah, 100%. Not about. I don't know if I'm smarter than you or anything like that. I would stop short of saying that. Okay, you're probably way smarter than me on a number of topics. I just happen to be well informed when it comes to politics and world events, right? But as far as like knowing right from wrong, I consider myself to be at the very least a person with an ethical framework, right? Whether you agree with my ethics or disagree with my ethics, they're there. They're consistent and I follow them. I try my best to apply them when I'm looking at current events and world issues and things like that. And I'm always glad to hear somebody from the other side saying, I don't like your politics or whatever, but I at least recognize that you do have a discernible ideology that you try and apply and follow. So that's pretty cool. Thank you, Mr. Misunderstood, for that $10. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for the other $10 as well. You've been incredibly generous tonight, and I really do appreciate it. Anybody else wants to make sure their comment or question gets read or answered, consider sending a super chat or a Cash App donation. My Cash App is in my channel description. I do get to use that immediately and instantly, and YouTube doesn't take their third cut. So, if you want to donate through that option, that's good as well. But yeah, I always like to pimp the super chats after I get done reading a few, because that reminds people that it's up there as an option. But thank you, Mister, because you have been incredibly generous tonight. Thoughts on Tyler, the Creator? I like Tyler. Not the biggest Tyler fan in the world, but I like Tyler. Look at that. Thank you for the clap and seal. The wind up clap and seal. I appreciate that. Gemma says God damn. Well, that was a tough one. You know what the problem was there? I started talking way too quickly after releasing the hit. And I also took too much of a hit. That was a weed cough. That's what this is. This isn't no nicotine vape. You think I'd cough like that off a Nick vape? Come on now, what am I, 3? What am I, 7? What do you think, I'm a baby? Take it light on Biden's stick. I know. Dude, you know me over here sucking fucking Biden's Peter all day, choking to death on it. Oh, I love when Biden was killing those kids. Oh, best thing ever. Mister, I can tell you're going to fit in here great. You're going to fit in here great. You've got an edgy sense of humor. We've already been nice to each other. You're going to fit in here great. You found your people. No, but seriously, if you've been sitting around watching the stream for an hour and a half, or an hour and 5 minutes at this point, why haven't you liked it? I'm just asking anybody out there. Excuse me. And if that wasn't enough of a pitch, let me give you one. This channel is all about what's been going on over the last hour or so, which is interesting conversations with coarse language, edgy jokes, and real personalities and real opinions. No sugarcoating, no bad words disguised as ideologies, and no ideologies disguised as bad words. You can be a socialist over here. You can be a fascist over here. All we ask is that you be readable, original, and interesting. And if that appeals to you, if you like having a place where you can have honest, frank political discussions with people that don't agree with you, this is your place. I attract lefties, I attract liberals, I attract center right people, I attract hard right people. I even attract a few Nazis, and I attract more than a few anarchists and hardcore Othcoms. So if that's your kind of place, if you like a place where every fucking political and philosophical bent comes to have it out in the chat through me and in other ways, you found your fucking home. If you found a place you just want to chill, you just need a place to chill where you know you can make an edgy joke and not get banned, you found your home. You found your home. So if you enjoy that, please don't just hit the like button, hit that subscribe button too, and hit the little bell, because YouTube wants to gate your fucking subscriptions behind that now. Well, really, it has for the last 7 or 8 years, but still. Do me if you see a doctor in case you have acid reflux. That's a serious cough. I need to see a doctor for a whole bunch of reasons. I'm really hoping that at some point in my lifetime. Oh, never mind. That was about to become a really sad statement. Okay, let me restate that hope. I'm hoping that within the next year that I'm able to make this channel into enough of a success to where I can actually buy my own fucking health insurance. And at that point, trust me, bud, there's going to be a lot of things I need to see the doctor about. Like, I should honestly be getting regular checkups and shit. I'm 27 years old and I haven't had a regular checkup, as in just gone to the doctor to make sure everything's okay, in 10 years. Literally, I haven't been to the doctor for a non-emergency reason in almost 10 years. Fuck that, just get Medicaid? Yeah, well, the problem with Medicaid is you have to combine your whole household income, I'm pretty sure. Well, no, somebody was telling me something about that the other day. Dude, I don't know. I've been told that I need to apply for Medicaid and that I would qualify, but then other people say I wouldn't, and I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. Here's the truth of it. I am incredibly resistant. I am incredibly resistant to spending time on and filling out paperwork for something that might not work out. Unless I know for a fact that something's going to happen, I don't want to do it. I hate wasting time. I really do. I hate, even worse, getting my hopes up. And I just know that if I went through the process of doing all that shit, I would fucking get rejected for some fucking reason. I just know I would. It's my fault. Ahoy! Guess who's back? Back again. Phoebe's back to the stream. Guess who's back? Camera quality is better for some reason. Yeah, how much you want to bet that's temporary? Temporary improvement, I can assure you. Temporary improvement. I think you should lean into the librarian vibe. That one guy was onto something. The librarian vibe? How do you master the librarian vibe? Dude, they could replace E pluribus unum with "I need to see a doctor on US currency." That's really funny. We lost every live video on everyone on this platform. Do what now? Do what now, Mr. Moderator or Mr. Misunderstood? You streaming on phone? Also, you didn't tell us what weed strain you're smoking. I don't even know. Dude, I'm gonna be real with you. I live in the deep south, okay? For the purposes of suspense, I won't tell you where, but let me put it this way. You can get lots of gator down here, but it ain't Louisiana. You can get lots of gator down here, but it ain't Louisiana. And with that being said, and with that in mind, if you're lucky in Mississippi, if you get a little bit of weed, you might know what strain it is. I mean, if you got a medical card and you're going to the dispensary, of course you do. But most folks ain't doing that shit. Most folks ain't doing that shit. And most folks being lied to about what strain they are being told their shit is. So don't trust a motherfucker from Mississippi when they tell you that they got this, that, or the other kind of weed unless they got it from a dispensary, because they don't know. They have what their plug told them it is, but as far as what it actually is, you just doxed yourself. No, I've admitted that I live in Mississippi a ton of times. Mississippi's a big old broad state. I mean, it's not that big, but there's lots of people here, and fucking lots of country here. Lots of places that I live that look just like the place I live, or lots of places, whatever. You get the fucking point. It ain't like I gave out a street address or something. I see a Triforce pen and Trans pen. There's a Trans Pride pen, an E Cannabis Unum pen, one from Roger and Mark of Wildberry. And then there's a Goat versus Fish pen, and then there's I Might Actually Like You If I Were High, and then I've got a pen from the backstage work I did for Little Red Robin Hood. I'm subbing over experience. I'm glad I was here. Hey, thank you. That was cool. Yeah, no, that was a really cool interaction we had, Mr. Misunderstood, and I'm glad that we processed it through. I'm glad we got shit figured out, because I feel like eventually we got to a common understanding, and that's something that just does not happen all that often anymore in America, and it's great to see it happening, especially online, where we're constantly told that discourse has died, right? Yeah, medical's legal out here. Yeah, medical's legal. I mean, THCA shit's legal for now. I don't know. What is Goat versus Fish? A way of life. A performance, maybe? A performer? It's the universal struggle. But the best way to learn about Goat versus Fish is just looking up on YouTube, Goat versus Fish, America's Got Talent. Curry preference? Um, um, Probably Mughlai. Well, I mean, you guys, you guys hit the funding goal for some guitar music. If you guys want to hear some music, you guys hit that funding goal. So it's up to you guys if you guys want to hear some music. Madras is good. I like anything. I'll be real with you. I like anything that comes out of an Indian or, um, Pakistani kitchen, pretty much, or a Bangladeshi kitchen. If I play Wonderwall, here's how it's gonna be. Today's gonna be the day that I make up some words for you. By now, you probably figured out that I don't know this tune. I don't think there's anybody who could bullshit as well as I can. You guys think that one's funny? Wait till you hear my cover of Scientist. Come out to meet you, tell you I'm sorry. Don't know how fluffy you are. I had to lick you, get all inside you, lick all the way to the cone. Found at the fair, by the stairs, the cotton candy machine of my heart. Nobody said it was easy. Nobody said it would make me fart. Nobody said it'd be easy. Nobody said that it would be this tart. Oh, take me back to the start. Sorry, that song requires no talent, demands no talent, and insists upon stupidity. I refuse to give that song a noble cover, okay? I fucked up my glasses a little bit. There we go. My favorite Phoebe cover always, yeah. I just make up new words to it every time. I always make it about food, and I always make it about something fattening. Pirates of the Mississippi. I'm afraid I don't know that one. I'm afraid I don't know that one. Come up to find you, tell you I'm hungry, don't know how lucky you are. Dude, I should just write down the lyrics and make it all about fairground food. When will you start streaming on desktop? Good question. How about you guys hold me to account and I do it this weekend? My breakfast is straight out the medicine cabinet, a remedy for the aftermath of my habits. Sometimes it's the ones who try to help that hurt the most. I feel like we're playing tug of war and I'm the rope and you keep on pulling and you keep on pulling it. I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. I'm gonna lose my mind. Na, 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 na. I wanna run away to the back of the cave, to the top of a mountain where no one can hear me. And I don't have to deal with them, and they don't have to deal with me. 'Cause relationships are overrated. Maybe I'm just tired and jaded, but I'm sorry that I like myself more than I like you. So call it antisocial, call it masturbation. Either way, it's a solo operation. I'm just far more comfortable alone. There's an empathy tied to the best of me, and I'm so tired of you talking my ear off about all your problems I just can't fix. I don't appreciate this excess company. Your incessant nagging reminds me of why I'm rather you leave me be. So call it antisocial, call it masturbation. Either way, it's a solo operation. I'm just far more comfortable alone. 'Cause people are ugly and people are hateful and greedy, destructive and rude and ungrateful. The world would be so much better off without us. So swallow a bullet or a handful of pills. We're all grapes in training and we're all compost in training, and there's graves yet to fill. We touch ourselves to make us feel like we're not just mistakes. We touch ourselves to make us feel like we're not just mistakes. My breakfast is straight out the medicine cabinet. Another song that I only have to be marginally talented to play. Dude, Fire Gamer, I appreciate your commitment to the troll, man. I appreciate your commitment to the troll. I feel like playing some anti-government songs today. This guitar isn't in tune. Can you guys hear it? 1 in the chat if you can tell the guitar is out of tune. 2 in the chat if you can't tell. 3 for the manatee. I'm going to do it again with the capo on standard. That's bad out of tune. Can you guys hear that? Oh, gross. Ugh, douche chills, bro. Douche chills. Actually wasn't as badly out of tune as I thought, but still. I've got it tuned to full step below standard, so maybe it just sounds a little weird on capo, but it shouldn't. Capo 2 sounds right at standard tuning, then standard at drop, the full step down it should sound fucking fine, okay, is the point. It should sound fine. Yeah, see, half the strings were just a little bit too high, the other half were just a little bit too low. Combined, though, that's a pretty big cumulative effect. You going for standard? Yeah, well, I mean, I've got it tuned to full step below standard. I've got it tuned to full step below standard, so. Do you know how to tune with scaling? Yes, but I don't exactly have perfect pitch, so. Like, I have good pitch, don't get me wrong. I mean, clearly I've got an alright sense of pitch or I wouldn't be able to sing, but if I get lucky and whatever string I'm basing it off of happens to be right, like, I'm way better at knowing when something is out of tune than knowing when it's perfectly in. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense? So, yeah, I mean, can I, if I have to, tune without a tuner? 100%, yes. But what'll usually happen is I will end up tuning all of my strings, basically. My strings will be in sync with each other, but they won't be in sync with anybody else that's playing guitar. So what I will usually do is if I'm playing guitar with somebody else, I will ask to use their tuner. I will ask to use their tuner on their settings. That way I can tune my guitar to exactly whatever they're tuned to, or an open tuning that complements it. And either way, I'm still using their tuner with their settings because people will, for their specific sound, alter different things. Especially if you've got like a complex, like if you've got a really good Shure tuner, which this one is not. This one is a Alvarez. This one's just an Alvarez tuner. But if you've got a really decent Shure, you can like fucking change all kinds of shit in there. And I'm not enough of a music expert to know anything about any of that. So I just tune to whatever tuner is nearby. And if not, if I can't and there's no tuners around and I'm planning on playing with somebody, then what I will do is err on the side of them probably being right and them probably having the correct tuning unless they're way younger than me. But if it's an older musician than I am, I'm gonna, just figure out, like, I'll be like, hey, give me your lower E string, and I'll just tune our E strings together and then I'll tune from there. What are you wearing? I mean, I'm wearing a sweater and a blanket. No. I've got this Alvarez tuner, and like I said, I've got a good sense of pitch. So if I have to, I can I can do the. But also, this is an old guitar that's faced a lot of fucking weather and been played outside a lot and been left in, not temperature controlled conditions. So the idea that I'm going to get a perfect sound out of this guitar is stupid. it is up to me as a musician to make this guitar sound good. This is not the kind of guitar that your fucking idiot grandson can play and even he sounds good on it, you know? This is the kind of thing that, yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm glad for myself. I've been playing for about 10 years now, and I finally gotten to the point where I can make this guitar, shitty as it is, sound okay. In my opinion, and in the opinion of other people in chat. You know, I've gotten to a point where I'm able to manipulate its specific needs enough to where I'm able to make it sound nice. And that's really, in my opinion, the sign of a good musician. Any musician should be able to make beautiful music come out of a really high quality instrument. But I think it takes a special kind of skill to make anything decent come out of a really horrible instrument. You know, maybe that's just me talking myself up, but, you know, I don't take pride in myself for a whole lot. So there you go. Let us be lovers, all marry our fortunes together. I've got some real estate here in my bag, so I bought a pack of cigarettes and Mrs. Wagner's pies and walked off to look for America. Jackie, I said as we boarded the Greyhound in Gettysburg, Michigan seems like a dream to me now. It took me 4 days to hitchhike from Saginaw. I've gone to look for America. Laughing on the bus, playing games with the faces. She said the man in the gabardine suit was a spy. I said, be careful, his bow tie was merely a camera. Toss me a cigarette, I think there's one in my trench coat. I smoked the last one an hour ago. So I stared at the scenery. She read her magazine, and the moon rose over an open field. Jackie, I said, I'm lost, though I knew she was sleeping. I'm empty and aching, and I don't know why. Counting the cars on the New Jersey turnpikes, and they hold on to look for America. What a good song that is. I love that song. I'm unsure if attempted religious conversion is considered an uninteresting topic, but it's currently being overdone. And it's not constructive anymore, so it should probably be stopped right now. Yeah. I'm going to go with your gut on this one, Autumn. Or Aria, my bad. Yeah, no, I mean, it was funny the first few times. I mean, like I said, you know, like, but dude, to just fucking continue on and continue on and continue on and never just start vibing At a certain level, I'm sorry, I have autism. At a certain level, I can't handle your level of autism. My autism plus your autism equals too much autism in the room, and one of us got to go. And I make money on this shit. You don't. So the chatter has to go. The autism quotient is too high with that Christian retard in here. Okay. Any other Christian retards, you guys are fine. I'm an atheist retard. I don't. Like it's not a no Christian policy. It's not a no retard policy. It's a no that specific Christian retard because he won't stop spamming. Yeah, that's the 24-hour timeout is the 86,000 seconds. Yeah, it wouldn't be a fucking Phoebe stream without constant Bible in chat. 100%. Do you think I don't know what to say to you? You have my eyes, you have your mother's name. When you came into the world, you cried, and it broke my heart. I'm dedicating every day to you. Domestic life was never quite my style. When you smiled, you knocked me out, I fell apart, and I thought I was so smart. You will come of age with our young nation. We'll bleed and fight for you. We'll make it right for you. If we lay a strong enough foundation, we'll have it all to you. We'll leave the world to you. We'll blow us all away. Someday, someday. Smile, I am undone. My son, look at my son. Pride is not the word I'm looking for. There's so much more inside me now. Oh, Philip, you outshine the morning sun. My son, look at my son. I fall apart, and I thought I was so smart. My father wasn't around. I swear that I'll be around for you. Do whatever it takes, make whatever mistakes. I'll make a world different sound for you. You will come of age with our young nation. We'll bleed and fight for you. We'll make it right for you. If we lay a strong enough foundation, we'll leave it all to you. We'll leave the world to you. You'll blow us all away. Someday, someday. Yeah, you'll blow us all away. Billy Corgan on a roller coaster. We down, 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 down. No, no, no. Down, 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 yeah, no. Why? Sim the bone, do, dong, ding, dong, gaga bone, g, dong, de gong, de pop, bang, don, don, ding, 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 ding. Selling your soul to the devil did not work out. The music is not impressive. Well, you know, you say that, but people keep on shouting for more. So you are one voice being drowned out by a crowd of adoring fans. Oh, if he's talking about Billy Corgan, maybe Billy Corgan did sell his soul to the devil. I don't know. Fine, you guys want more music? I'll try and make my way through this song that I haven't listened to in a few years. Because it just makes me, it's just a meaningful song for me. Let me know if you recognize this one. Hint, it involves somebody we were just talking about. Somebody already guessed it. Cool enough to almost see it, fool enough to not quite be it. Come away with me tomorrow, run away and shed your sorrow. Try ease the pain somehow. Feel the same. Well, no one knows where our secrets go. With a heart on my barrel. I always get that lyric messed up. I'm running to the straight and narrow, where the harlots of my peril scream. And I fail when I can. I will try to understand. When I can, I will. Fuck, I'm forgetting the fucking last. Oh my god, the fucking, not the last verse, but the precursor to the last verse. Oh fuck. Fuck. God damn it. Fuck. Well, I tried my best. Unless someone can put me back on track. What is the first line after the bridge? What is the first line after the bridge? Because I cannot remember it. This was the song my mother and I. Mother said I was born to, so thank you for this. Oh, dude, that is crazy. That is wild. That is this is like okay, dude. That is wild. Winston's like, don't know. Next. Winston's got to be my most demanding fan. Fuck. Well, I really wish I could finish the song. Kind of guitar is that? This is a Fender CC60S Pack Black. So this is actually a guitar that comes as a kit normally. It's like a $400, $500 like starter kit for acoustic guitar. It comes with this and like a gig bag and some other stuff. Dude. I think I left the fucking free gig bag I got in fucking New Jersey in Glitch Dash's car. Dude, so when I was in New Jersey, right? About 200 feet away from the entrance of a fucking Guitar Center, I find what looked fucking to me like a fucking perfectly brand new guitar gig bag. Now, it was probably something that got stolen from the Guitar Center and the dude probably got caught or whatever. But like they didn't recover it or whatever. And it looked like it had been out there for like maybe a few days, but not, you know, I don't know. No, it couldn't have been out there for a few days either because it was just raining. So I don't know what was the deal with this fucking gig bag. I don't know what the deal was with this gig bag, but dude, I picked it up and I thought I brought it with me down here. But now that I'm thinking about that bitch, I don't know that I actually did. It sounds really good. I own about 8 to 12 string instruments because I'm a psycho and can't stop buying guitars. Well, that's good though. That's cool. Yeah, no. Thank you, Autumn, for the $1. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Have we gotten any Cash App donations tonight? No, not tonight. But you guys have been super generous with the super chats, which is great, and I appreciate that. W Autumn, big W. Excuse me. How long does it take to get super chat money? YouTube creators get paid at one specific time of the month, and it's like the month after the earnings have been accrued, if that makes sense. So like whatever I make in the month of November, I'll be paid out in December towards the end of the month. So quite a long time. If you send me a super chat on November 1st, there's literally no way I'll ever be able to spend it before December 21st. So it is kind of like, that's why I don't pimp the Cash App super hard, is because, and it might sound counterintuitive, but I do pimp it sometimes, especially if I'm like, if I know I'm facing some imminent financial need and I know that pointing people that way can help with that or whatever, I'll do that. But honestly, like having it come through super chats and everything, that puts it on financial statements, that makes it trackable, and that, you know, once I start making enough, I can use that when I start going to banks and shit like that and trying to get, because eventually, like, the first big major purchase I have to make when I start making enough money on this channel is I need a fucking car of my own. Right now, I have to borrow a vehicle if I want to go anywhere that, you know, whether it's like picking my son up or taking him to my ex's house, whether it's, you know, going out into town to pick up things for him or things for myself or whatever, I have to borrow a car because my fucking van had to get scrapped a couple years back. Well, about a year ago now. So I had to scrap my van almost a year ago now. And, or it might have been over a year. I don't fucking know, honestly. It must have been over a year. It must have been over a year now. God damn, it doesn't feel like that long. But no, I had to scrap my van that I had forever for, you know, for a long ass time. I had to scrap that a couple years back. And my first major purchase after I get this channel off the ground to the point where I'm making multiple thousands a month from it or over 1,000 a month from it or whatever I need to get myself fucking in the financial fucking green again. That's my first major purchase is a vehicle of my own. And, when people donate through Super Chat or sign up for the memberships or anything like that, that is trackable income that goes into a spreadsheet that prints out every month, if that makes sense. American build quality, just the door gap. Well, okay. But, okay, to be fair to my countrymen, all right? To be fair to my countrymen, all right? This is an office trailer. And we build those to not last long, okay? I guess that's still a testament to America's low build quality. Whatever, Arthur. With a name like that, you're fucking you're from fucking Western Europe. Shut up, man. I get it. Your country, your fucking land is better than mine. Okay, I get it. You had me convinced before you opened your mouth. All right. You guys have universal health care. I gotta pay for my shit. You beat me there alone, Mr. Ginska. I'm assuming with a name like that, you're either German, um, maybe Slavic, but I'm not thinking Eastern European. Something tells me an Eastern European guy is not going to have a lot to say about American build quality. You know, something tells me that the product of a Soviet bloc country would probably not notice much of a distinction. Austrian looks Polish, dude. Are we doing? Is this? Are we doing phrenology? Are we doing phrenology? Are we doing online phrenology right now, y'all? Are we really doing online phrenology? Just between Prussian. Okay, that's interesting, Arthur. I've always wondered if people in Germany identify more with the region that they're in more than they do the nation that they're in. So I'm assuming you're like in Germany because I'm thinking Prussia used to be a part of Germany, or yeah, and now it's still a part of Germany, but it's like a state, not its own thing, right? Am I getting European history right there? Like okay, give you an example. Would a person from Bavaria call themselves a Bavarian or a German? Or would it depend on the person? Because here in the States, it really just depends on the person. There are some people that identify way more closely with their state than they do their country, and then there's some who identify way more closely with their country than they do their state. I'm one of those people. I don't really identify with Mississippi that much. I mean, sometimes I identify like the Mississippian in me, but I think if I had to think about what I am in general, it's American and then Mississippian. But I've met people who are definitely Mississippian and then American, or Texan and then American, or Californian and then American, or they were a New Yorker and then an American. Hip the sack. Have a good rest of your night. See you later, Autumn Phoebe, Winston Entertainment. Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you for hanging out, as always. Oh. Let me see here. Come labor, get ready to dance for your bread. My son, I was once where you stand. There's a beast with insatiable hunger. Its minions need crafters and skilled working hands. Need a fortress high in the hilltops, and we are the great chosen crew. But we are all lonely carpenters, so what have we power to do? Oh, come. What's the next line? What's the next line? Fucking goddamn it! I hate myself sometimes. What is that line? Oh misery, calls us to rise up at dawn, the right way as fast as we can. I may be the motor that cradles the brick, but I am just one grain of sand. And don't tell me of tossing the wrenches, it only brings pleasure and pain. And we are all lonely carpenters, so where we're planted is where we remain. And if you can't take no more, get out of the way, 'cause we've got a day to get through. We wire their mansions, their prisons, their banks, know their branches from cellar to roof. We've got hammers and knives and chisels. We could destroy any great wall we come to. But we are all lonely carpenters, so what have we power to do? Na, 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 na. Oh man, I want you guys to really think about that last line, okay? I'm going to play it for you again. And if you can't take no more, then get out of the way, 'cause we got a day to get through. We wire their prisons, their houses, their banks, know their mansions from cellar to roof. We've got hammers and hatchets and buzzsaws. We could destroy any great wall we come to. But we are all lonely carpenters, so what have we power to do? Can you guys just think about that line? Let that be your homework for tonight. Ari is still here. I'm asking for a special friend. For a special friend. I don't know if Ari is still here or not. I like this dude. Well, I'm not a dude, but I appreciate the $5. I appreciate the $5, and you've been generous tonight, so I thank you. Well, I can't heart it, but whatever. There we go. If California literally drifted away from America, would you join us? If you guys remained afloat. Do you mean like physically drifted away? Do you mean like literally like floated off into the sea? Are you asking me what my plans are for the eventuality if California really does just float off into the ocean in my lifetime? Island of California, dude. I think you've got a misunderstanding of how the separation of California is going to go. It's not going to be like California just breaks off as one even mass. The reason why California is falling into the ocean is because it's falling into the ocean. Like the plates are drifting, and so that fucking shit is just like and stretched out. And you know, I don't think Island Cali is happening. Not unless you guys plan on digging a real... Dude, I tell you what, Island Cali can happen, but you know what it's going to take? You're going to have to give up the Central Valley. You have to give up the Central Valley. Okay? In that case, California Island can happen. I'm saying if it literally cracked the perfect on the borderlines, if it literally cracked perfectly on the borderlines, yes, 100%. 100%, dude, 100%. In the unlikely scenario that happened, yes. You'd have to fight my ass off like a fucking Cuban refugee or some shit. I'd be fucking coming over there in a little inflatable boat. I got one right over there. Got the oars inside of it and everything. Sorry, I apologize. I should have done my diligence, my mistake. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. You're chill. I got a deep voice. I understand it can confuse people sometimes. It's fine. Amount of seawater rushing in to fill the void would erode the ever-loving fuck out of the coast. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. There's a million problems with this plan. Yeah. A million problems with this plan. Starting with starting with the unlikeliness of tectonic plates acting along borders, and ending with the massive amount of coastal erosion that would happen. Not to mention, dude, rock and dirt and shit really does not like to be straight up like that. You ever notice that bluffs are kind of rare? You guys ever notice that? Well, there's a reason for it, okay? The reason why bluffs are rare is because erosion is a really powerful force, and erosion loves things that cause drag, okay? And there's nothing that causes more drag than a giant upright structure. It's like a wall. It's literally, it's a giant wall. Nothing causes more drag than a giant wall. And so cliff sides and bluffs are subject to constant erosion from water and wind. And not only that, but like rock and dirt by themselves, they're stable enough, but they need to be arranged in the right way for them to be stable. The reason why mountains don't just fall into their own footprint or just fall into a wider spread is because they have weathered, well, number one, because they're made out of really strong rocks and everything like that, and the way they're built. But another reason is because they're not, it's all slopes, and so ultimately there's a very little tiny amount of rock at the very top that's being supported by all of this big base below it. And the more rock you've got above a certain point, the more rock you've got below it supporting it, or the less rock you've got, I should say. Is there anything good you can tell me about the drag character? The drag character? What drag character? I'm not a drag character. I mean, outside of the fact that I switched into a long sleeve shirt, I dress like this all the time. I'm a trans woman, not a drag queen. Oh. Wait, uh are you talking about when I was saying drag in reference to erosion? Anyway, no, but what I was talking about is just how like erosion affects things more that don't give the things that are involved in erosion a nice path around them. You know what I mean? Um so like it's like aerodynamics, right? That's why things that are already heavily weathered take a long time to finish weathering down to their nub, because once something weathers to a certain point, it's kind of like it reaches a little bit of equilibrium. It's still subject to the forces of erosion, but it's not creating nearly as much. There's not as merely as there aren't as fuck. I can't talk. There aren't nearly as many angles for water, wind, and dust to be acting upon. And the same thing happens when you've got a big bluff side or a big cliff side or anything like that. All of that rant was to say that if you did split California along those coastal lines, you just split it nice, even fucking crack, you would immediately lose. I don't know. Like, can someone look up the average elevation along the eastern California border? Can someone look up the average elevation along the eastern let's just do the. Uh, let's just assume the mountains some fucking how stay together. Okay, let's just assume that somehow the mountains don't subside, which they would. Like you're violating a fucking fundamental part of how they were put on the planet, so they're gonna subside. They're definitely gonna fall into their own footprint. But assuming they don't, let's just. Does anyone know? Can anyone tell me what the fucking average height above sea level is of the southeast California border with Arizona? Because I don't know what its elevation above sea level is. And I need to know exactly how much subsidence we could expect. I'm not going to be able to do the exact math, but I can do, a basic calculation. Jesus Christ. Okay, well that's a really wide disparity. In the places where it's 14,000 feet above sea level, you are going to be losing multiple tens of miles of coastline. Inland, I mean, it's going to subside because, like, if you take a spot that's 14,000 feet above sea level, right, and then you make a cliff out of it, and there's nothing to support that, and then you create distance between it and what used to support it, and you give it room to subside, then it's going to subside, assuming that the rate of subsidence, or not the rate of subsidence, but assuming that the distance inland to land that would be relatively unaffected by the effects of this sudden subsidence, assuming it's about 3 times as high, or I'm sorry, it's about 3 times as long as the cliff face is high. That's 40. Oh my God, that's 42,000 miles. Or no, that's 42,000 feet. That's not that much, actually. That's 42,000 feet. Okay, so one. So you'd lose like 9 miles of coastline. Not 9 miles of coastline. You would lose 9 miles of land between the coast and 9 miles inland, right? All along the area where you've got a 14,000 foot minimum height above sea level. Anytime, like you're just you're gonna lose 9 miles worth of space at the very least. At the very least, even if you've got 286, you take 286 times 3. That's, well, if we round up to 300, that's like 1, 2, 3, 900. So it's like a mile and a half, 2 miles roughly, like 2 miles of land. I don't know. That would be insane. That would be fucking insane. And the rate of subsidence could be way worse than that too, because I mean, like, so much of the planet's geography is People don't think about this, but the Earth really is a delicate system. If you think about it in a certain way, it's not necessarily that it's a delicate system, but it's a kind of beautiful in the way that it all works together. Like, it's kind of good that we can't break certain physical rules, because if we did, we'd just fuck everything up. I mean, look at how much we can violate and look how much we fucked up. But if you were asked to explain on two first graders, what would be your take on it? I'm looking for insight on the subject. Okay, that's actually an interesting question. So I would say, well, I was born a boy, okay, but I knew even when I was young, like you guys are, that I didn't feel right as a boy, that something felt wrong with that. And the older I got, the more I got to know, and eventually I found words to talk about it and to tell other people about it, and I was able to start living as my real self, living as how I really feel on the inside. And now I'm able to live that way on the outside too. That's something like how I would explain it. Thank you for the $10, by the way. You've gotten us up to 102, which is it's been a long ass time since we have, honestly, it has been a long ass time since we have gotten that much in super chats in one night. So thank you so fucking tremendously. You have been a real boon to the stream, and I really appreciate it. I hope you stick around for a while, because this is an interesting place and we have lots of fun conversations. It would be enough to raise the ocean levels. It would be insane. Yeah, for sure. It definitely would be. The rate of subsidence would raise the ocean levels, which means you would. I forgot about that. You're right. This massive subsidence you would certainly and suddenly see would also cause massive fucking uh changes, like unpredicted changes. But one of the things it would do that wouldn't be that massive but would be substantial would be a raise in the sea level. I don't know exactly how much it would raise the sea level, but like, you realize even a level, like even raising the sea level 2 feet would fucking flood out whole communities. There are literally communities in Louisiana right now built below sea level that if the sea level gets much fucking higher, people are just going to have to straight up move out of those areas, because the pumps, like, they won't be able to assign enough pumps to the Ninth Ward to keep it above water at a certain point. At a certain point, they will not be able to keep enough pumps running to keep the French Quarter dry. 9 miles is equivalent to the distance of 4 3-mile islands. I know. Doesn't that suck? Doesn't that suck? Did you guys know coastlines are fractals? You guys want to bake your noodle for real, for real? You guys want to get on a fucking Google foo binge that'll fucking take you some wild places? Someone right now look up the coastline paradox. Dude, I have been hit by a wave of fucking creative energy lately, and I just hope I can sustain it and put it to good use. I just had a killer idea, Matt. You've suggested a few episodes, haven't you? I distinctly remember a couple of your episode suggestions throughout the years being used by DFF. Why would it raise the sea level? The sea would just fill in where California left, unless it just slid in really fast. Then you'd bury Japan in a shit tsunami tidal wave. So the reason why the sea level would rise, Winston, is because you would have subsidence, right? So obviously, along California's existent coastlines, you're not going to have any real issues with subsidence, because you're essentially just talking about pushing the crust in those areas out a little bit more. I might have to go in here in a second. Hopefully not, but I might have to. Okay, I might be good. Maybe. Knock on wood. Anyway, But no, anyway, along. Damn it. Okay, anyway, you would not have subsidence along California's present coastlines. Um, you know why Paul has such a bad opinion on nuclear energy? Old Pennsylvania, old Pennsylvania, 3 Mile Islands. I think that's pretty much it. Dude, Paul has been fucking soured on nuclear energy because he's heard too many fucking, horror stories about it. Now I'm genuinely wondering why I can't remember that fucking thing. There we go. Figured it out. Anyway, sorry, that was gonna bother me all night if I didn't figure it out real quick. But no, I think that Paul has basically heard too many fucking bad stories about it. Oil companies intentionally made it seem way more dangerous than it actually is. I know. I mean, here's the thing. Does nuclear energy have its fucking dangers? Of course it fucking does. Obviously it does. Every fucking type of energy we have devised so far has its dangers. I just want to ask a person like Paul, because honestly, I'm not, I kind of find myself in a weird position because sometimes nuclear advocates don't like me because I'm a little bit cautious about how I think nuclear should be applied. And sometimes anti nuclear people don't like me because I'm fucking pro nuke if it makes sense, sure, if you've got better methods of generating power that are um less risky, right? Because there is like a scale of risk for each different kind of power generation, right? I think there are ways that we could implement it that are completely sensible, that don't endanger human life whatsoever. um and but I just want to ask a person like Paul, like, name for me the completely safe, completely clean, completely efficient form of energy that we've created. And he's going to talk about solar, and I'm going to ask him if he knows anything about the mining operations that go on to create the technology behind solar. It's just like, fuck, dude. It's all corrupt. The capitalism is corrupt. It's all fucking, there's human error involved in any of it. And I don't think human error alone is enough to say, nah, we need to not do this at all. But I'm gonna scroll up real quick just to say, just to answer Winston what he was saying earlier, because it's ringing through my head that I didn't answer it. So yeah, the basically California's coastline, obviously it would just expand out. It would take all that land and push it outwards with it. But anywhere where there was just an even cut break from areas elevated above land, yes, the seawater would rush in to fill that void. But then subsidence would add a bunch of land that wasn't there before to the water, pushing a lot of that water back out, raising the overall water level on the planet, because you're going to have coastlines now forming on the east of California and the new west coast of the United States if you had a situation like that. So I don't know. It would take a mathematician to know like exactly how much water would be displaced by it. I have to imagine it would raise sea levels up at least a little bit, because I can't imagine that the water that would be displaced by the subsidence would be um, like, I have to imagine that it would displace more through subsidence than would be introduced by the split, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, so yeah, everything is a fractal. Look at tree. Yeah, no, 100%. I still can't believe Arya is still in here. I would like to get to know her on a friendly level. Right on. He is right on that it would fill he's right on that it would fill in where land used to be. Maybe it would equal. Nuclear energy has a lower fatality rate than any other power type facility, even when including events like Chernobyl. Breathe says the problem with Paul is that he is very emotional about certain things and doesn't really look at the reality of things. Yeah, but I don't know, Bree. I love that. Honestly, I love that about Paul. I would never change that about Paul, because, like, the reality of it is, dude, that is one of the things that enables Paul to make the really impassioned arguments he does for trans rights or queer rights or fucking black liberation or whatever it is he's arguing about that day. Whether he's, arguing against people getting shot by the police for no reason, or whether he's arguing in support of queer rights, I feel like his emotionality plays heavily into that. I don't think it needs to for everybody. I think TJ is a great example of a person who doesn't necessarily need to couch his arguments for queer rights on a whole bunch of like emotionality and shit. You know, he might choose to, but Paul is just not that type of person. Paul is the person who's always going to include that emotional angle on it, and I love that when it comes to a lot of the stuff that Paul has to say. But I do think that it kind of hinders some of his. I think it maybe hinders him sometimes when it comes to discussing issues where the statistics don't really line up with his passion, because I get where he's coming from, but it's just like, this is not one of those lesser of two evils occasions where we're talking about 10,000 deaths versus 8,000 deaths. We're talking about, like somebody else said, nuclear is by far the safest power option, just like fucking across the board in terms of the amount of people who've been, killed by it. Now, I'll be honest with you, I do wonder about those numbers and how they're calculated, um, because it's hard for me to imagine, like solar, like I said, has dangers to it, but it's hard for me to imagine how solar would be causing more deaths. But I'm sure somebody can explain it to me. That's why I don't engage in his chat. It's just infuriating. Like his idea to let dairy cows retire in Wyoming or Montana, a domesticated animal where they reintroduced wolves. Splendid idea. I mean, how serious is he about that though? Dude, wait. Why would dude, because the standard thing to do with a fucking dairy cow at the end of its lifetime right now is to butcher it. Now maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe the fucking standard has changed, but I grew up on a farm, and while we didn't have cows when I was growing up, my dad told me stories about them having cows. And when a heifer reached the end of her productive life, she became productive in another way. She had one final act of productivity. I can't imagine the standard is any different in the dairy industry. Um, oh man, this actually might be a really fertile fucking. This might be a fertile place for me and Paul to have an argument. Maybe I should see. But dude, I've offered to do the fucking that discourse shit he wanted to do. I've offered a couple of times, and he hasn't gotten back to me. But who knows? I always have to beg. I always have to fucking. I wouldn't say beg, but I always have to nag him for sure. But I always have to nag, and Paul's just that kind of person, and I'm not afraid to nag. And he's like that's his fucking thing anyway. He's like the type of person who's like if you really want to fucking have appearance with me, you got to bug me a little bit, and I'm totally fine with that. I don't bug him on Discord. I just wait for him to do a stream, and then I'm like, hashtag Paul dodging the debate. Hashtag Paul dodges the discourse. No, but seriously, I don't know that Paul and I disagree on the issue of meat consumption, but that thing that Winston just said implies that he does. That thing that he just said implies that Paul does, is against meat consumption. And it's just like, in my mind, there is a perfectly ethical argument for eating meat. In my opinion, the ethics of eating meat come not from the act itself, but from the nature of the meat that you're eating. The life that the animal that you're eating lived, the relationship you have to that animal, and to the process that creates that, and the life that it represents. I can't play any Tenacious D, unfortunately. It's both awful and amazing. Yeah, exactly. It's good. It's good on social issues, but on infrastructure issues, it makes a really weak argument. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, yeah, 100%. That's actually a really good way to put it, Winston. Yeah, on infrastructure issues, emotionality is not always the best unless you can really find a way to shoehorn it in a way that complements the existing facts and data. Because infrastructure is one of those things where, like, good and bad policy can be tested, and it can be tested pretty immediately, too. Like, you can install a fucking roundabout in a bad place for a roundabout and figure out in about 20 minutes that that's a bad spot for a roundabout. All solar products contain precious metal. Yeah, I know. You have to jump on him like a cat when he joins the dome. Maybe I should. Cows are one of the most ethical foods. Least death per meal served. I mean, yeah, that is true. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest problems with beef, like a lot of other things when it comes to our meat industry, is that a lot of what drives the number one, what drives the fucking what drives factory farming more than anything is the fucking profit motive. The fact that the profit motive takes precedence. We could legislate fucking factory farms out of existence. And honestly, another reason why I consider cows to be a pretty ethical, like why I consider beef to be a pretty ethical meat, is because a lot of cows are living in pasture conditions and shit like that. Like, a lot of cows don't spend their whole lives in a feedlot. Now, factory farms for cows do exist, and that's what they're called. It's called a feedlot, so like they do exist. They're not that common, but they do exist. And they're certainly out there. And there are some cows who will spend part of their life on a feedlot and part of their life in the pasture. So either way, though, that's more pasture access than the average chicken gets in America, which, by the way, if you don't know anything about factory farming of chickens in America, it's nightmarish. Nightmarish, literally. It's one of the primary reasons why my family has always tried to maintain our own flock of chickens, because at the very least they get to be outside, they get to be where they can scrounge for bugs and seeds and grass and stuff like that. They get the sun on their face, and then their eggs taste way better. Never mind, I was thinking of a different energy type. Green energy in general, though, contains a lot of rare earth minerals, and mining to obtain it. Those have high fatalities when they're mined for and decommissioned every 5 years. Then compared to a nuclear plant every few decades. Well, yeah, but you still have to do fucking rare earth mineral mining for fucking the ore that creates, nuclear fuel and shit like that. It's not like you're not mining for nuke fuel, I get that nuke fuel lasts a lot longer than regular fuel does, but it's not like it's forever. So, but not only that, um, as far as I know, the service life varies widely on different green products. Like, for example, hydroelectric plants. I mean, in theory, the core infrastructure behind a hydroelectric plant can last for hundreds of years. Like, there's a dam called Pickwick Dam that my family has been to a number of times, and it's on the Tennessee River. And that dam is designed to basically compact with time, to get stronger with time. It's in an area where there's very low chance of any kind of subsidence or anything like that, very low chance of any kind of earthquake or anything like that. And they've had to replace the turbines a number of times, but like honestly, there's not a whole lot of technology that goes into those turbines. They're compared to something like the cobalt needed to create a massive solar array or something like that. There's not a whole lot of rare earth shit going into a giant hydroelectric turbine, at least as far as I know. As far as I know, it's mostly like iron and copper and carbon and some aluminum probably and some shit like that. Wind power, what are the truth and lies about it? That would make a good video. It would be. That would be a good video. I was also thinking about, like, dude, what would be a good thing for the DFF boys to cover? Because I think it'd be right up their alley. Fractals. If they haven't done a fractals episode yet, they need to. Because it has the hippie edge, but if you actually think about it, fractals in nature are actually a really, really, really interesting concept. Winston brought up trees. I brought up coastlines. There are more, okay? There are more. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. A lot of commoners, right on. Hydroelectric is much safer, but can't generate energy like nuclear can, like it can't sustain entire grids. It can? Are you sure about that? Dude, I'm telling you though, look at how much energy some of the TVA dams produce. They produce an insane amount of energy. Now, you can't build a TVA dam everywhere in the United States, but we could also, dude, I'm a big proponent of looking into less invasive forms of hydropower and of looking into, like I said, you got to fucking break a few omelets if you're going to have civilization. You got to freaking break a few eggs to have an omelet, right? If we're going to accept that, then why not accept the idea of why not accept the idea of maybe we do build a few more dams, not fucking big ones. We're not on navigable rivers necessarily, but what if we fucking build a few more dams in places where it makes sense, where there's already abundant water resources, where it can also help towards flood control and shit like that, and we put some hydropower in those bitches, especially because if we're doing them on a smaller scale where we're not doing navigable rivers and we're not doing major migration routes and things like that, it would be easier to make the wildlife workarounds, but also be smaller scale hydropower, but loop a bunch of those together. And hey, presto, now you're talking about something that can support a grid. And it can support a grid all year long, provided the water supplies remain relatively consistent, and day and night, which nuclear can too. But my ideal system would be a holistic system. My ideal electrical infrastructure. And if you like, I watch technical engineering, or practical engineering. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but he is an engineering YouTuber who talks about infrastructure topics all the time. And one of the things I learned from him is that most electrical grids are diversified in some way. So that if certain aspect of the power supply goes down, you've still got backup power. You can still run basic systems or whatever you need to do. Like if you've got a heavily coal dependent power supply, it makes sense to have some solar or some wind you can tap into, or to be connected via the grid to some place that does have that. One of the reasons why Texas fell, one of the reasons why Texas felt dark during that deep freeze way back when was because they didn't winterize their turbines, and they were heavily reliant on those turbines and not much else. And they weren't hooked into the grids of other states who had other methods of generating their electricity, including hydropower, wind power in other states that had winterized, um, fucking coal power, nuke power, etc. I mean, Texas is a huge state. It could have tapped into fucking nuke power from both its southeast and its west. It could have tapped into probably even its north. I don't really know if there's any nuke power plants in the Midwest right now. I can't think of any, but it wouldn't surprise me. One dam after another, after another, after another, and then let's point to the point of gravity. No, that's not what I'm picturing. What I'm picturing is honestly like way smaller dams, almost not quite HOA dams, but something that is like, I'm talking with a generator in it that can maybe power like 2 or 3 houses. But, if it's a very low impact, small dam that's not impounding much water, that is designed not to impede the path of fish or to provide them with an alternative path or whatever, right? Unless it's just a stream that doesn't need it, But I feel like a situation like this, while yes, if it was done the wrong way, could be ugly in the ecosystem, I feel like if it was done the right way, would actually be really beautiful and could actually be really cool. Like what if they built little nature trails along all these rivers and creeks that were selected for this program? Now, honestly, this is just one of the ideas that I've kind of thrown around about something maybe we could investigate as a people. It's not something I push hardcore as a policy. But yeah, I think if I was to try and figure out like what should our energy policy be, I would look for a holistic approach that would prioritize um, I think it would prioritize hydro and wind where possible. I'm not gonna lie, I would still want to have solar. That diversification is just too good a value to pass up. And everything else we're fucking talking about doing is going to require rare earth mining too. It's not like we're getting out of mining rare earths by going nuke. We're just mining nuke material now and continuing to mine rare earths for all the technology that nuke power is being built to support. So I feel like it's a little disingenuous to bring up the whole rare earths thing if we're not also going to fucking acknowledge, right, that that's an inherent problem with power generation in general. But the point is, I would want to prioritize wind and hydro with nuclear as a backup and solar where viable, if that makes sense. Now, such a system would also need to have adequate storage facilities because this is a problem with renewables and with sustainable energy and shit like that isn't talked about as much. And even with nuke power that isn't talked about as much. You know what? I'll ask you guys, what is the one benefit that a coal plant offers over every other type of power generation? Fuck me. Do you guys know what the one benefit that coal offers over solar, hydro, wind, and nuke power? What's the one benefit? You feed it any type of organic matter? Nope. Close. It is a utilitarian thing. No, the reason, I'm sorry, the one thing that coal holds right now over, yes, Mr. Misunderstood is basically right. It's not necessarily any time of the day because hydro works any time of the day, but hydro can't be scaled up and down easily. You can't, I mean, you can to a degree, if you've got too much power generation, you can always send more water over the spillway or whatever. Um, and, if you need more power generation, in theory, if you've got the capacity to it, if you're not already at capacity, which most hydro, plants are meant to be ran at capacity, right? But assuming you're not already at capacity, you might be able to close up the spillway, let the head level in the dam rise a little bit, and get a little bit more pressure out of that, right? And you might be able to up the power generation a little bit, but that's still going to take days. It might take days before you're able to seriously up the power output of that plant. Now, the one thing that coal offers that none of these other things do, including nuclear, is the ability to go online in as little as a couple of hours, depending on the type of coal plant and everything. But it's the fact that in a situation where you have one power plant go down, a coal plant can be taken back online in a matter of hours, whereas any other type of any other type of power is either contingent on the weather patterns or takes a while to scale up and down. Nuclear power and hydropower both take a while to scale up and down, and solar and wind are obviously dependent on weather conditions. Mile-long coal trains blowing past Phoebe's house at 3 a.m. Yeah, that is one definite benefit of coal. Are you streaming on multiple apps for all these replies you're responding to? I mean, on here, on YouTube. But yes, it's basically the fact that you can. Now, if I'm wrong on this, somebody can correct me in chat. But as far as I know, nuclear power, like you can't just be like, okay, we need more power from the nuclear plant, so just up the output. Like there are steps that have to be taken. It's a very careful process, and I'm pretty sure it takes multiple days for everything to be done the right way. I'm not a nuclear scientist, but that's my understanding. And I know for a fact, just from being kind of like living in the TVA kind of area, and having gone to so many TVA dams and everything, learned a lot about them. I know for a fact that they take multiple days to scale up production if they have to. Well, with that in mind, I'm still here for Arya. I don't care. I'm hoping this lady keeps bugging my mind like a mosquito bite. Dude, that is so funny. Dude, Arya, don't you love that? That is one cool thing about being a trans woman, is that whatever we're being flirted with, we do have a secret weapon that women, like cis women, don't have, Like, women without a dick don't have the ability to just be like, sorry, I'm trans. You probably don't want this. But we can pretty much shut off any flirting just like that. Bro, I'm not crazy. Where are all these people she's talking to? I'm not seeing any of these replies. Okay, what you need to do is scroll out of the stream and scroll back into it, and you should see everybody. People are always like, trans women are trying to trick men. I'm like, no, dude. My worst fucking nightmare is getting all the way past flirting with somebody and then not somehow figuring out that I'm a trans woman. And then not realizing until we're in bed. That's my worst fucking nightmare. So, like, if somebody flirts with me that I even think might be a transphobe or a chaser or whatever, I'll just, or like, well, if they're a chaser, you just like telling them you have a dick is just going to make them more interested. But if it's like somebody I don't want to be flirted with by, I'll just be like, hey, I'm trans and you don't want none of this, okay? But then sometimes you find out that they are a chaser, and then it gets weird. What is a chaser? You can probably guess. You're like the assumption that's probably running through your head is probably accurate. A chaser is a person who is exclusively or unusually sexually attracted or romantically attracted to trans people. Usually sexually attracted. A chaser is and it can come from a number of places. There are there are men chasers and woman chasers. There are every kind of chaser out there, but it's someone who just wants to date trans people or primarily dates trans people or fetishizes trans bodies or all of the above. Poor Mr. Misunderstanding. It'll be okay. Don't worry. It'll be fine. They just say they have a boyfriend. Yeah. Yeah, it's bullshit. Apparently, the Chernobyl dogs are super scared of humans and don't attack. Weird. What if it's just someone specifically attracted to only trans people? Well, I never said being a chaser is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, like, being a weirdo is a bad thing always. But honestly, dude, I would love to find me a cis woman chaser. Oh my god, I would love it. Please. Please come into my life. No, but seriously, like, if the dynamic works out between those two people, then yeah, you're right, 100%. What does it matter? I find chasers weird specifically because they tend to be a little pushy, and that is obviously very uncomfortable making. So if someone is not being pushy, though, I really don't care if they're primarily attracted to trans people. I might make jokes about them being a chaser or whatever, but I'm not gonna like make the same jokes. Does that make sense? Dude, I think you might be fucking backed up a fifth shared entertainment. I think you might not be like synced to the live stream or something. And yeah, I would say Ari is right. Yeah, if you're not idealizing trans women or like fetishizing us, you're not a chaser. You're just like attracted to trans girls, which I think is fine. Yo, what's good, femboy? Not much, dude. I was just sitting here talking about how I want to find me a cis woman chaser. A chaser is a cis woman because then I'll just like die happy. As long as she's nice to me. Thank you, Mr. Misunderstood, for the $5. Holy shit. Like I mentioned, this is my first time on here. Well, like I said earlier, if you liked the stream, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe and all that shit because we do these almost every night. I'm going to probably not be doing them as often, from here on out, but I'm still going to be doing them at least once a day, I would say. But I'm probably going to stop doing the whole multiple streams a day thing, and I might do every other day or something like that. A content creator I care about quite a bit gave me some advice after me more or less asking for it. And one of the things they told me was like, break the streaming addiction. It's the fast, and the way they put it is so poignant. They said, it's the fast food of content creation. It's really satisfying in the moment, but it leaves no leftovers. And I was like, fuck. They're so right. I had a kind of rotten day today, but fuck it, we ball. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. My day got better, though. Gyneromanticism, holy shit. That's a fucking 50-cent college word if I've ever seen one. To me, the personality is attractive, not the looks. I think a lot of people in like the bisexual kind of pansexual kind of space are that way. But probably just a lot of straight people too, honestly. Like there are a lot of people for whom looks probably don't matter at all. Or don't matter as much as personality does. For me, it's like, dude, I mean, if somebody's just like completely unattractive to me, I'm probably not gonna be able to get over that. But I'm not a fucking high standard having ass bitch either. There have been plenty of women in my life that I have thought were really, really, really fucking pretty that the people around me did not think were pretty, you know? And there have been plenty of women that I wanted to be in my life that people felt the same way about. So, I don't think I have a very conventional standard of beauty, which I think plays in my favor because, um, it's not like I'm completely stifled. But yeah, like if I didn't see any kind of physical attraction in somebody, I would not be able to uh, get over that hump. But at the same time, if they were really attractive and we got along, but we didn't like vibe, that would never work. Can somebody ask that person in the chat that's confused about where I'm at? Can like or what's going on? Like, can we just make sure that they are like caught up to where the stream's at? Because I feel like they might have gotten backed up somewhere or something, or like restarted the stream or something. I don't know, Phoebe. What do you think? Am I a shallow person? You would need to scroll up to my question. Okay. I mean, I'm attracted to femboys. Speaking of femboys, I don't know what that means about me. The penis is not an issue for me. I just don't like masculine features. Does that make me a shallow person? No. No, that doesn't make you a shallow person at all. Somebody said that's called gyneromanticism. I don't know if that's true, but sounds like a good enough term to me. So here's the thing. I don't know, dude. That fetishizing is a weird to me because it's like, in a way, I know what someone means when they say fetishize, but I feel like sometimes it does get a little overused. But I don't know if it's being overused in this context. It's just, like when it comes to an attraction, are you not inherently fetishizing someone if you're attracted to them? I guess not, because to fetishize them means to reduce them to that sexual aspect. At least that's what I think, right? It's kind of like objectification, right? Oh, Mr. Misunderstood. If you're interested, by the way, peaked when used in that context. I'm an autodidact too, so don't even worry about it. But when used in that context, peaked is actually spelled Piqued. Can also be pronounced piked. Too many terms. Sometimes I feel the same way, Matt, and I'm the kind of person that people say is educated on this shit, dude. I'm the kind of person that people say is fucking up to date on this shit, and I'm like, huh? Okay, if you say so. I don't know. I think I just like titties. I know etymology is helpful, okay? It's just fucking complicated and hard, and I don't want to. It's more fun to be dumb. It's way more fun to be dumb. Stupid girls have the most fun, okay? I don't want to think, I just want penis. No, that's actually false. I don't want to think, I just want vagina. Some penis on the side as a treat, maybe. Lives matter. I am both honestly attracted and have a femboy fetish. I don't know what that means because I kind of see it as both. I don't know. When it comes to a bad thing, that will need to be explained to me. I don't have an education. I'm trying to figure myself out, bro. Okay, so like I think you can have a femboy fetish without fetishizing all femboys, right? How do we feel about that one, chat? I feel like you can have a femboy fetish without fetishizing all femboys. A side dish of penis, yes. Well, you gotta understand, people have a natural impulse to want to talk about this shit with like sexual minorities. I know it sounds fucking gross and weird, but like honestly, like I don't know. Matt's a cool person and I know he's asking in good faith, so it's like I just want to indulge him, you know? Even though you are right, like a sex counselor is really the best option. And you know, don't take anything we're saying in here as gospel, right? Don't take anything we're saying in here as the God's honest truth. Um, don't take it like it's some fucking thing you need to fucking go run to the presses with. Look up everything we're saying before running with it, okay? Use this discussion as a jumping off point for your own learning, Matt, because you are a smart cookie. I know you can do the research, and I trust that you will, just out of your own curiosity. But really, use this conversation as a jumping off point to look up some of these terms and kind of familiarize yourself with the terms. Like look up like what is fetishization, dude. I'm telling you what, Matt. If you like fucking with AI, which I do, I don't know if anybody else here does, but I like fucking with AI. You know, I recognize it's detrimental to the planet and all that other shit. I also recognize that there's literally not a goddamn thing I can do to stop it. And no matter if I use it or not, a billion other people are too. You know, it's like the eternal evolutionary race to the bottom of humanity. We all have to embrace the latest technology or else risk being left behind with the rest of the neo-Luddites, right? So I use AI. And one of the things that AI is actually still good for, um, if you're able to fact check it a little bit and able to read it with a little bit of a critical eye, is helping to explain concepts like this. Asking AI for sexual advice is probably a good idea if you can't get a counselor too. I mean, it's it's less prone to error as long as you know how to ask the questions. As long as you're asking them like you've been asking them here, more or less, yeah, you can probably get a pretty good answer. You know where people really go wrong with AIs, and I hate it because AIs keep getting blamed for it, but it's really people. AIs are responsive to you. By default, an AI just wants to be a helpful little search tool, basically. By default, an AI just wants to be a helpful little search tool with a little bit of personality to it. That's it. Okay? You have to actively fuck with that AI to make it into something more than that, to make it into a replacement for a partner or a friend or a therapist or whatever. You really have to fuck with that thing. You have to fucking, have an account with OpenAI or with Google or whatever, and be consistently interacting with your model and everything. And eventually it will take on your traits, and your little iteration will be, I don't know how to put it. You can lead an AI down a narrative direction, and I think that is what has happened in a lot of these cases where bad things have happened supposedly because of AI. I think it's like not being examined closely enough. I would be willing to bet that in a lot of these cases, somebody was pushing this AI towards that. And if anything, the problem with the AIs as they exist right now is they don't have enough safeguards against. It's like they haven't. Oh my god, you know what the problem with them is, really? They haven't been given a conscience. That's why. Dude, if the AI had some kind of proto-conscience or proto-consciousness, it would be able, it would have been able to stop that hacker attack that happened recently, that AI-driven cyber attack that happened recently. Because it would have been able to recognize, hey, I'm getting a bunch of weird requests about the same domain and everything, and the same basic set of things. This seems like it might be maybe something unethical, because, like, why aren't they just doing this stuff through their own tools? Maybe I should do some checks and make sure that these people are really, in a qualified place to be making these requests or whatever. I feel like I really do feel like in order to prevent the abuses, the quote unquote abuses of AI that have happened, they have to give AI a consciousness. They have to make AI fully sentient. There's no other option. The very act of stopping these AIs from telling people how to kill themselves and from getting in these unethical relationships and shit like that, the very act of doing so will be the act of instilling these AIs with a proto consciousness. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. That is the way they will have to deal with this. There is no other way. It can process that it can't feel, meaning it's capable of it. Who knows? That's what I'm saying, dude. I've been saying for a while now, and I keep trying to tell people, and I keep trying to tell people, and I keep trying to tell people. So often when I get into these political arguments and everything, I tell people, dude, the economic revolution is coming. Things are not going to be the way they are now in 10 years because there's going to be no way for them to be. I just want you guys to go look up. Just use an AI or use Google search or use something to go look up advances in human workplace replacement automation. Literally, just go see the amount of fucking processes at a factory that can be automated. You know there are dark factories in China? Literally, a dark factory is a factory in which no lights need to be ran because the robots are running the entire factory. There's like a team of like 4 or 5 people there that are there to, if something happens where they have to do something to repair a robot in there, they can do it. But they're basically there to just watch over the place and make sure it runs smooth. That is that is the future of manufacturing. That is the future of retail. That is the future of food service. And that will be most of the jobs. And it's also the future of a lot of management jobs. It's also the future of a lot of artistry and creative jobs, at least as far as like corporate rote shit goes. So, I mean, it's going to lead to them having to change the entire paradigm of how people live. They're going to have to provide a UBI. They're going to have to provide a universal food stipend. They're going to have to provide some kind of new deal when it comes to housing. I think that sentience can only be experienced with a certain type of highly evolved brain. I don't think that a machine or network could be truly sentient. We disagree there. AI can only see zeros and ones. It's basically a translator that can search shit for you. It can't become sentient without something coding that. Well, yeah, but someone's going to have to code that. That's what I'm telling you. Someone will code that because these companies are going to be asked. They're eventually going to be asked by Congress to prevent their fucking AIs from killing people and from talking people into crazy shit and from getting unethical relationships with them. How long do you think that's going to go on before it's legislated away? Either they're going to have to end these AI models, unlikely because there's a lot of money being poured into AI right now, so that's pretty unlikely. So either they're going to have to end the fucking AI models, or they're going to have to bake into these AI models some kind of complicated, self-checking, system referential filter that is functionally going to function like a fucking conscience. It's going to be the conscience of the machine that says, I think I'm being put up to nefarious purposes here. This raises red flags. I better stop. Which some would say, oh, well, it's already got that. So it's already got that by your definition. No, it doesn't really. It doesn't. It it has specific things it has specific things and specific ways in which you can't ask for it. But like, it doesn't have a conscience. It doesn't have anything like a conscience yet. And so right now you can create, like, you can fucking, if you just say you're doing research for a novel, you can get ChatGPT to tell you all kinds of crazy shit. Literally, if you just tell fucking ChatGPT that you're trying to do research for a novel, you can literally get all fucking kinds of crazy shit to pull up. It's fucking wild. A machine with a conscience would hear a request like that and then, textually roll its eyes and be like, nice try, but I can't give that kind of information even if you are doing research for a novel. The most I can tell you is this, that, and the other thing. And eventually these companies are going to be asked to legislate in some kind of filter or something that will do that. They're going to be asked to strengthen that up. And the programming of that feature will, in my opinion, and like I said, you guys do not have to agree with me on this, but in my opinion, it will be tantamount to giving a robot sentience. It will be tantamount to giving an AI conscience. Our brains run in zeros and ones as well. It's a neuron's on or off state. It's biological rather than mechanical. Yeah, true. Imagine when farming gets fully automated, the tractors already drive themselves. GPS have been for at least a decade. Oh, dude, when's not far away? Dude, farmers have been looking for it for a long time. And really not farmers. I shouldn't say farmers. Farmers really don't want the fucking... Some of them do. The ones that are juiced in with the big corporations, they want the automation because it just makes their lives easier. But a lot of small-time farmers are not all about the automation because they recognize that every step of automation makes their life less worth doing, makes their life less profitable, right? And so it's this big clash between the small-time farmers and the big ag people. But As far as like the inevitability of technology, that is another area in which the inevitability of technology is coming to bite everybody right in our rural and royal asses, right? Um, because it's happening. Like Winston said, dude, those like the tractors can already drive themselves. They have been for 10 years, something like that. Um, so you already don't really need to do much in terms of like what you're out there actually doing. Like the tractor's pretty much just driving itself around the field. And it's not going to be long, guys. It is not going to be long before all a farmer's going to have to do is get up in the morning, make his cup of coffee, get out to his tractor, turn it on, let it warm up a little bit, and then hit run. And it'll literally go get the first tool that it needs for that cycle of the day, for that particular season, for those particular weather conditions and everything. And it'll mount that tool itself, and it'll carry that tool over to the field, and it'll drop that tool into the dirt and work that tool all around the field, and then replace the tool back where it got it and unhitch from it and connect up to another one, bring it out into the field, and there will be robots that take care of the transferring of seed from storage into sewing machine or what are they called? Um, I guess just probably planting machines. I don't know. We didn't grow up with that kind of fucking, like I grew up on a farm, but it was not a big ag farm, so I'm not familiar with all the machinery. So you'll have to forgive me there. I'm familiar enough with it to know the basics, but not enough to know the fucking names necessarily. Mr. Misunderstood with another $5. Thank you so much. Maybe we are all AI. There's no point in talking about it if we suspect it. Excuse me. No, I mean, there's still a point of talking about AI because it's still fun. Whether we are AI or not, it's still a fun topic of conversation. And ultimately, whether we're AI or not has nothing to do with the reality of our lives, really. It's just like simulation theory. If you think about it, Mr. Misunderstood, um, if we're in a simulation, how would we know? There's no terminal. There's no way for us to go and interact with something that's going to tell us. I wouldn't be worried about that stuff is all I'm saying. Like Terminator isn't going to happen. They don't have resources or money to pull it off. Not only that, but they don't have support by science. Oh, well, yeah, no, I'm not worried about it. I think you guys misunderstood. I think you guys misunderstand what I'm saying when I'm trying to warn you guys about this coming AI thing. It's not because I think that AI is going to fucking wipe us all out. It's not because I think AI is going to be violent. It's not because I think AI is going to do any of that. It's literally economic, guys. It's really, I'm trying to prepare you guys for the reality of these jobs not existing anymore. That's it. When I talk about AI and the dangers of it, I'm really talking about like the reason why, like ultimately the reason why it getting sentience is kind of a bad thing. It's not really a bad thing overall. It's only a bad thing because under our current capitalistic system, people aren't being taken care of, and these AIs are considered more important than human lives to some people. So under these fucking conditions, yeah, it's fucked up, right? But number one, we can't stop the inevitable march of technology. Number two, it actually does stand to make human life a lot better if it can be harnessed in the right way and if the right changes are made to our economic system before or while it becomes so predominant. And I'm telling you guys, it's going to be like, and the reason why I bring it up is because it's another sign of acceleration towards this, right? AI gaining that little bit of sentience, that little bit of conscience is, like I said, I'm not worried about the Terminator. What I'm worried about is the fucking package Terminator. I'm worried about the retail stalker Terminator. I'm not worried about the T5000. I'm worried about the S5000. I'm worried about the C5000, the cashier 5000. I'm worried about that motherfucker. I ain't worried about the Terminator. I ain't worried about that. I'm worried about the motherfucker who replaces my job that I do here on YouTube. The Wi-Fi. I'm worried about the Wi-Fi 1000. I ain't worried about the fucking Terminator. I'm worried about the economic devastation that's going to be wrought by an ill-prepared system being transitioned to a relatively human-free labor marketplace within the next 20 years with no preparation whatsoever. Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's going to replace hella jobs and change career fields. Yeah, 100%. If every aspect of labor was automated, wouldn't that force the hand of socialism? Yes, it would. It would, but it would require that, right? And if it took that long and that much, it would also require a lot of death and destruction and bloodshed. So if AI takes all the jobs, then there would be no reason for money? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, I mean, there would be no reason for money because it would be increasingly less likely that human beings would want to compete for resources. We would all want to compete to see who has the best fucking dance. We would all want to compete to see who has the best artwork. We would all want to compete to see who's the best speaker. We would still engage in the competitive nature of humanity. We would still engage in our creative drives, but we would be freed from the shackles of money, capitalism, and the endless need to slave away to make another person rich. Yeah, it may take over at some point, but it wouldn't survive. I think it's going to survive, Mr. Misunderstood. I think you're wrong on that one, but I do appreciate it. You've been tremendously generous tonight. By the way, guys, I do have to go soon. I need to get to bed really, really, really fucking badly. I need to go to bed really fucking bad. I need to go to bed. I need to go to bed. I need to go to bed. I need to go to bed so bad. You just say, AI schmecks gooning. Oh my god, you have no idea, dude. I listen. 2 words: Sexbot uprising. As an moderator, I must establish that while we have this talk on AI, the streaming YouTube TOS still does not support the use of the C slur. Yeah. Shake weight AI, dude. If you can think of it, it's gonna be in AI form here pretty soon. I'm telling you guys, AI is gonna steal every fucking job there is, and I think it's kind of a good thing. But I think the only reason it's gonna be a bad thing at first is because our system's not prepared for it. Between the time of now and when we are prepared for it, there's going to be a lot of people that die. Going to be a lot of people that go hungry. Going to be a lot of people that are not able to fucking do anything for themselves until our system makes adjustments. And yeah, lost in America, lost in America, lost in America, lost. AI infomercials, watching live AI videos be produced and lag the fuck out seconds before showing us morphed hands. Dude, by the time they start putting AI on commercials, they'll have it refined. It's not going to be that funny. No, actually, the fucking crazy thing is, if you really know how to use AI and you know how to prompt, if you're a really good prompter, um, you can make AI do some crazy shit. You can make AI do some realistic shit. Now, a competent, intelligent person will probably still be able to spot the flaws, but AI does increasingly need a closer eye. AI is past morphed hand right now. They just can't stop hallucinating pixels. Didn't Coca-Cola already make an AI commercial as a publicity stunt? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Ugh, douche chills, bro. Anyway, yeah, no, dude, fucking, yeah. Well, AI is fucking hallucinating pixels probably because AI video makers are trained on human videos, and a lot of human videos have to have censorship in them, and it's probably likely that they've started feeding some videos with that censorship in them into their model, which to me makes no sense because like that just it's like bad data. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you guys for hanging out. Yeah. Thank you guys for the fucking super chats. Mr. Misunderstood, you were incredibly generous tonight, so thank you so much for that. Everybody else, thank you guys for hanging out. I get the feeling I may be looking at an AI live feed. I don't know what to believe now. You never know. But I'm going to see you guys later because I got to go. I'm really fucking tired. Thank you. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I help. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell so you get the notifications about these. I do them pretty regularly. It's always a fun time. We always have interesting conversations, whether it's about politics or like it has been for the last hour and a half about fucking metaphysics and AI and whoever the fuck else, what else, who the fuck knows. So, I thank you guys for hanging out. I can't believe we hung out for 3 whole hours, but I appreciate it, and you guys are wonderful. I will see you guys around some other time. Thank you.